America's First News.
Hey, size matters. Look to the Italians. They made it happen. The Colosseum, the Vatican, the Tower of Pisa, and Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli Sandwiches. Their signature subs are as big as your forearm, hefty and fully loaded with the highest quality deli meats on artisan bread. Their homemade Italian beef sandwiches are sliced paper thin, using their own family recipe. And if you can't choose between the burgers, wraps, or hand-rolled meatball sandwiches, then get them all. Feed your inner rock star. Eat amongst authentic rock and roll memorabilia while you enjoy the soundtrack of your glory days. Or pick up and go. Either way, Augie's offers fast, fresh, and affordable food. Even gluten-free options. Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli, Carroll Stream or West Chicago. Be sure to visit augustinos.com for full menus and directions. And if the party's on at your house, look to Augie's for catering. Don't make it happen with Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli.
It's news, opinion, insight. It's AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lisa Brady. President Trump heads back to Washington later today from his Florida estate, where he personally interviewed 4 contenders for National Security Advisor, still in search of a replacement for the ousted Michael Flynn.
The position is one of the most senior jobs in the White House in terms of dealing with foreign policy and national security.
Fox's Kelly Wright.
President Trump interviewed Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg. He's an acting national security advisor right now and a longtime Trump supporter and foreign policy advisor during the campaign. Then there's John Bolton, former ambassador to the UN, also Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster, Silver Star recipient, reputation for questioning status quo.
Lieutenant General Robert Caslin, the West Point superintendent, also in the mix. Meantime, the White House working on a revised version of the travel ban rejected in court, while the Homeland Security Department works on new guidelines for detaining and deporting illegal immigrants. The White House emphasizing, after a draft obtained by AP raised concerns, that nothing's final yet. Defense Chief James Mattis is on an unannounced trip to Iraq, getting a first-hand look at the fight against ISIS. Fox Radio's Jessica Gallagher, live in our Mideast Bureau.
Lisa, Mattis's arrival coinciding with the battle to oust Islamic State fighters from western Mosul. The defense secretary moving away from an idea proposed by President Trump.
All of us in America have generally paid for our gas and oil all along, and I'm sure that we will continue to do so in the future. We're not in Iraq to seize anybody's oil.
Meanwhile, the Pentagon is contemplating ways to accelerate the ousting of ISIS in both Iraq and Syria. Those efforts could be complicated by Mr. Trump's threat to take Iraq's oil. Lisa.
Thanks, Jessica. There is late word of a U.S. service member killed in Iraq, described as a non-combat related death outside the city of Ramadi. You're listening to Fox News Radio. Fair and balanced.
Good morning. 44 degrees in Chicago at 5:02 on AM 560. The Answer. I'm David Stewart. Cloudy skies today. Look for a high of 65. It was a violent weekend in Chicago, but despite the warm weather, the trend this year in Chicago is slightly downward. 4 people were killed, 24 wounded from Friday afternoon through Sunday. 2 of the wounded were 13-year-old boys. But last year, 6 people were killed, 19 more wounded in shootings over the same weekend. 3 people are injured, including a firefighter, after a blaze on Chicago's far south side. Officials say that fire started last night in a single-family home near 101st and South LaSalle Streets. The firefighter and another victim are in good condition. A third person is in serious to fair condition. Demonstrators were back protesting President Trump's agenda in downtown Chicago. Several hundred people marched yesterday from Trump Tower to Federal Plaza. Today's federal holiday will be marked by dozens of Not My President's Day rallies against Trump nationwide. Organizers say thousands of people are expected in the streets in New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, and many other cities. An investigation is underway after Chicago police found a dead body in a West Side pond. Authorities say officers found the man in the water yesterday while searching for a missing person in Columbus Park. Cook County Medical Examiner's Office identified the victim as Darius Dobbs. Illinois Republicans want to know why the new state controller, Susana Mendoza, has a new SUV. GOP Chairman Tim Schneider yesterday questioned why Mendoza bought a $32,000 SUV. She says the new SUV is just a replacement for an older car. In sports, it was the Blackhawks over the Buffalo Sabres 5-1. News, a service of Connect Better.
When you connect better, everything comes together. Join the more than 3 million people who use GoToMeeting every month to connect with their team. Try it free at gotomeeting.com. That's gotomeeting.com.
AM 560 News Time 5:04. We'll have traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Do you own or run a business in Illinois that succeeded in this challenging economic environment? If so, we want to hear about it. AM 560's Business Tour 2017, presented by Signature Bank, will be highlighting business success stories. Tell us your story and be a part of a live broadcast of Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy. Find out more and submit your information at 560theanswer.com/business. That's 560theanswer.com/business.
The C.H. Hansen Company stands proud as a great American hand tool manufacturer. Founder C.H. Hansen was a Chicago native, and the company remains family-owned and operated for over a century and a half. C.H. Hansen wishes to thank their employees for their service and customers for their business. C.H. Hansen offers over 2,000 products, stock and custom order in 8 product categories, including steel stamps, stencils, metal tags, barricade and flagging tapes, plus Palmgren, makers of work-holding vices and metalworking machinery. Although business, products, customers, and the industry have changed, the leadership of C.H. Hansen continues to attribute success on the founding principles of faith and quality tools. The mission of C.H. Hansen is to glorify God by the way that they serve their customers, treat employees, and help community. This is accomplished by providing valued products, exemplary customer service, and operation excellence. Visit chhansen.com or palmgren.com for more information.
At 5:05 from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center, here's Jim Talamonte.
Good morning, David. Downtown Chicago, there's a crash in the loop. Westbound Congress is blocked from Michigan Avenue to State Street. A lot of debris there. And southbound Wabash is closed at Van Buren as well. River North Clark is closed between Chestnut and Chicago Avenue for some construction removal of a crane. That's till 4 o'clock today, so buses are being rerouted and use LaSalle as an alternate. Another round of road work has kicked in on the Indiana Toll Road. It's slow eastbound from 94 to State Road 149 and westbound from past the LaPorte Porter County line to past State Road 49. There is some new restrictions as well in St. Joe County. Elsewhere, things look pretty quiet on the Chicago Expressway. There's some road work on the outbound Rye, but no delays there. Traffic is a service of Hum by Verizon. Kids borrowing the car? Now with Hum by Verizon, you can get notifications if they're driving too fast or going places they shouldn't. Find out how to make your car smarter, safer, and more connected with Hum by Verizon. Visit hum.com today. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer begins next, but now the forecast, a service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. And here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Today, patchy fog for the morning. Otherwise, it will be breezy and warm with a mix of clouds. High 65. Tonight, mostly cloudy with occasional rain and a thunderstorm. Mild with a low 52. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
39 degrees at the lakefront now, 48 at Midway and 46 at O'Hare. Next news, 5:30. Get continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Radio Garden Sense, a show bringing your property's gardening needs alive. Radio Garden Sense, Sunday mornings at 11 on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan Proft. And in for Amy this morning is Kristen McQuarrie. She of the Chicago Tribune editorial board, who came bearing gifts. Thank you.
Yes.
For the fruit and for the cinnamon rolls. We
I have another one
appreciate
for you.
it. What's
This
that?
is my homemade Baileys.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Don't drink it straight. Just add a little bit to your
It's
coffee.
right up there with Service Master in Downers Grove that gives us Bloody Mary
I'm trying
mix.
to keep up.
This is
trying to
nice.
keep up.
Thank you very much. This will
Little
help us
cream,
get through.
little whiskey, little bit of cherry flavor. I like a little cherry in my Baileys. So just
You
warning
probably
you.
should have consulted with me to see if I
Oh,
like the little cherry.
sorry.
If you're really
Sorry.
going to be considerate, but no, I do appreciate that.
You're
This
welcome.
is
a nice way to kick off the week. By the way, happy George Washington Day. This is not President's Day for those of you who are up and around and don't have the day off. This is George Washington. This is intended to commemorate really George Washington's birthday. Then it combined Washington and Lincoln, and now President's Day, like we're honoring everybody. From, William Howard Taft to George Washington. No. Bill Clinton. No, not honored today. No. Barack Obama, he'll get his own holiday in Illinois at some point, I'm sure, if the General Assembly has their way. This is for GW.
Okay.
This is for the big guy.
All right.
Who started it all. The general.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
I mean, I just wanted to clear the air on that.
I mean, my calendar says President's Day. Plural.
I
not
understand.
Singular. Not apostrophe S.
You know what your calendar is?
Wrong.
Fake news.
All right.
So with that obvious segue, let's get to Trump's rally in Melbourne, Florida on Saturday evening with Melania, resplendent in red, leading the
Don't
event.
be so sexist and start talking about what she's wearing.
With Donald going sans tie.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Sans tie.
See, I just
relaxed Donald.
I read the Us Weekly version, and it just talked about Melania's lighter hair color.
Oh, I didn't notice that. But she looked lovely, as did Trump. There.
Okay.
And it started with Trump explaining why he's there.
I'm here because I want to be among my friends and among the people.
He wants to be away from the likes of you, Kristen McQuarrie.
Far away.
Yes. And, much of the substance of what he spoke about was focused on the media like it was on at his press conference on Thursday. Now, his press conference on Thursday, the media, of course, focuses on people talking about them. But he actually did cover quite a lot of turf on Thursday. This was more of a rally atmosphere, so, of course, he's not going to go into the level of detail or tackle the number of issue areas. But he started where he left off Thursday when it came to the D.C. press corps.
I also want to speak to you without the filter of the fake news. The dishonest media, which has published one false story after another, with no sources, even though they pretend they have them, they make them up in many cases. They just don't want to report the truth, and they've been calling us wrong now for 2 years. They don't get it, but they're starting to get it. I can tell you that.
So, Miss McQuarrie, if that is your real name, are you starting to get it?
Well, I wouldn't lump myself into the D.C. press corps.
Of course not.
But I do think when he has these long, rambling press conferences like he did, it does give reporters a chance to get all their questions answered, to see that. I mean, part of the problem with Trump is that I wish I could just tweak a little bit everything that he says. At his press conference, he continues to talk about how the poll numbers are behind him and how great he is. And what he's really trying to say is, I have the people behind me. I have the people's support. But he continues to just always sound, like he's so self-congratulatory. And then that's the story that gets written. So I think the issue with him, yes, I think the media coming around? I don't know. No, I don't think so.
No, they're not coming around. And if they were thinking about coming around, this probably is not going to help.
When the media lies to people, I will never, ever let them get away with it. I will do whatever I can that they don't get away with it. They have their own agenda, and their agenda is not your agenda.
And, on the Sunday talk shows, it was Reince Priebus's turn to kind of do the circle of shows. And, he made the point again. It's sort of an obvious point. It's not a point that Trump necessarily makes because he doesn't deal in gradations. But Priebus and others have said sort of the obvious thing. We're not saying all media. We're not even saying every person or every story at networks where the president has called fake news, or in CNN's case, very fake news, but
Unsubstantiated.
but we're talking about examples, and there are stories where things that have been written are wholly unfair, where people in the D.C. press corps have said, this is a new kind of thing. We can dispense with journalistic standards of a bygone era, and we can be part of the resistance, and then do stories in furtherance of not abiding the canons of journalism and focusing on trying to take a piece out of Donald Trump. And that's essentially what they're reacting to and what the president is reacting to.
Right. And again, to what I was alluding to earlier, instead of being very specific, if Trump, during these press conferences, or even Reince when he goes on these shows, is really specific about stories like the Martin Luther King Jr. bust that was supposedly removed from the Oval Office, and it turned out to be completely false. Be specific, point out specific stories that were false instead of using this broad brush, because I mean, that's just in every facet of life. You want to be specific. He could actually make a case if he were specific instead of just trying to enrage the media as a whole. I think he has pushed them a little bit back on their heels. I mean, I loved the Jim Acosta press conference with CNN because I just think reporters, they're spoon-fed a lot of times. These press conferences are so orchestrated. I think Michelle Malkin actually wrote a piece a few years ago where she was in a room where the reporters were kind of colluding as to what questions they were going to ask. You decide ahead of time who's going to get to ask the question. So this idea that somehow that he is abusing the First Amendment because he's not calling on the right reporters at press conferences is just a huge disconnect.
Well, and what you're saying about Malkin's observations also goes to one of the other charges leveled against the D.C. press corps, that they're beset with groupthink.
Sure.
I mean, not only the choreographing that you're talking about, but the fact is, as I cite often, Gallup poll numbers, between 1960 and 2012, and I'm sure it'll be even a bigger number in 2016 when the exit polling is complete, 80 to 90% of D.C. press corps members vote for the Democrat nominee for president. So you have an overwhelming majority of these individuals coming from one perspective, and then they're collaborating on top of it. So there's kind of layers of groupthink, and of course Trump comes in like a bull in a china shop, and they don't know what to do, frankly. And so the accusations become, or the criticism becomes the story there. The smarmy moral indignation that you get from a Chuck Todd on Meet the Press, for example, where after his interview with Reince Priebus yesterday, thanks for coming behind enemy lines. Really?
I know.
Come on.
I really, I'm part of the media. I'm part of the mainstream media. But I've always just, I hate when the media makes themselves the story and they become superstars. It's especially egregious with broadcast. But this whole idea that you even would attach like heroic behavior of journalism is just, and I'm in it. And there are some journalists who I work with at the Tribune who are absolutely remarkable people and have, done a lot. I have a list of all of the stories that Trump wouldn't even be able to talk about, or you, Dan, on your show, if not for really hardworking journalists in the Tribune newsroom. But it doesn't make them, it doesn't, the groupthink that you talk about and the fact that there's this level of like deservingness, it permeates the profession, I think.
Well, I'm glad to hear it coming from you rather than somebody who's not in those circles, even in Chicago. And that's the thing that does rub me the wrong way the most. This idea that I should be congratulated for doing my job every day, and I should also be insulated from criticism when I don't. In the rest of the world, nobody gets that treatment. Nobody. But somehow journalists have labeled themselves the great guarantors of our representative republic, regardless of conduct, and thus they are beyond reproach. They're not beyond reproach. Oftentimes, they're not the guarantors of our republic. So I think there's a legitimate point to say Trump and his team should be specific about instances to underscore their point and should not cast with too wide of a net. I think that's a legitimate point. But the Chuck Todds of the world, the superstar media types that as Bernie Judge, a venerable reporter in this town who I sat down with a couple of weeks ago for our Upstream Ideas Against the Current series, said, you have these shows, you got to fill 24 hours. You're talking about the star aspect of journalism now in D.C. So then you have a panel that's convened to talk about the issues. And then you have another panel to talk about what that panel just said. And then there's the third panel removed from the original panel. And it just becomes this self-referential pablum.
It does.
I think that's what so much of cable news is. And I would include most of the Fox News shows in that category, too. I'll take your calls, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636-DA is the turnkey.pro text line. We'll pick this up on media. And another media darling from time to time.
Me?
In addition to Kristen McQuarrie, Senator John McCain will tackle what he had to say in his interview with Chuck Todd after this.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Your weather today. Areas of dense fog before 11 a.m., but otherwise partly sunny with a high near 62. It's very exciting news. Might break a record. And
Punxsutawney Phil is a fraud. Are
you just figuring that out?
6 more weeks of winter?
Well, let's wait. I'm going to throw that back in your face when it's like 2 degrees. Let's get a check of the roads with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Kristen. Good morning. Good morning, Dan. Well, for a holiday, it's kind of busy on the roads right now. A lot of issues on George Washington's Day. Downtown Chicago, there's a rollover crash at the intersection of Congress and Wabash. A lot of debris. And so westbound Congress is closed, has been for some time, from Michigan Avenue to State Street, and southbound Wabash is blocked off at Van Buren. River North, Clark Street closed off today from Chicago Avenue to Chestnut for construction equipment removal. That's till 4 this afternoon. The next round of road work is kicked in on the Indiana Toll Road for delays in the Portage area, eastbound from 94 to State Road 149. Westbound from past the LaPorte Porter County line to just past State Road 49. Chicago expressways look good, but you will have a lot of traffic from McCormick Place today for the last day of the auto show. And around Allstate Arena, there's a 1 o'clock monster jam with trucks. It was packed last night. It'll be packed again today. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
There are 2 kinds of pain. Pain that goes away and the worst kind, chronic pain. If you suffer from chronic pain, life is not complete and it can be miserable. Unfortunately, most people use narcotics that mask the pain. You need to find the source of the chronic pain and get relief.
This is Dr. Ken Candido of Chicago Anesthesia Pain Specialists. We're serious players in the management of pain, and our team are national leaders, as well as being educators in the treatment of pain. We will work with you to diminish or eliminate your pain and help you get your life back. You know, there's a nationwide narcotics epidemic, and people are too quick to mask over chronic pain instead of looking for the cause and treating or eliminating the pain. Contact us. We will help you.
Go to mypainchicago.com. Call and make an appointment with some of the best pain people in the nation, located here in Chicago. mypainchicago.com. You or someone you know suffers. End the suffering of chronic pain. mypainchicago.com. Let's make you pain-free.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest-growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Chuck Spaveri, CEO of Spaveri's Custom Counters, a Chicagoland manufacturer of residential and commercial countertops. If there's a local commercial bank who knows how to get a deal done, it's Signature Bank. When my brother and I needed it, Signature Bank came through with a creative financing solution. That's because Signature Bank has experience working with companies like ours, a second-generation, family-owned and operated manufacturer. Our business matters to Signature Bank, and that comes through in every visit and every phone call with their team, right up to the bank's co-founders, Kevin, Mick, and Brian. Spaveri's is proud to bank with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I'm telling you right now, it's awesome. I was trying to get my blood pressure regulated, okay? And after 3 days of taking this thing, my blood pressure went back down to normal. I am ecstatic. I am so happy with this stuff. It is my savior.
This was the first summer that I have not had to have a steroid shot to help me to breathe. The reason why I'm taking it because I've got Hep C. Once I began taking your stuff, it took a few months, but believe it or not, my liver enzymes are way down and it's normal now. It works.
The new challenge will allow you to receive 2 months of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies free. And we'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life, but I should have ordered it like 15 years ago.
AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Kristen McQuarrie in for Amy Jacobson this morning. And Kristen, we're talking about your universe, part of it, your Chicago press corps. Talking about the D.C. press corps mainly. And Donald Trump continuing his frontal assault on what he terms fake news over the weekend in Florida. Some specific examples were given over the weekend of major outlets just getting it plain flat wrong, as well as dubious conduct when it comes to journalistic decisions. Getting it just wrong. Reince Priebus on Meet the Press said the New York Times story about the repeated contacts between former Trump campaign ads and Russia, he says from conversations he's had with the intelligence community that was completely overblown and wrong. Wrong. Straight wrong. And it leads to the second problem that we have seen, and I'd be interested in particular in your opinion on this. All of the anonymous sources. Mm-hmm. Everything's anonymous. Now, I understand there's sometimes that you have to use anonymous sources. You have to protect the identity of sources and so forth. But everything is. And this is Mark Hemingway writing in Weekly Standard about the Washington Post. It's except for the Mike Pence's spokesman, Mark Lauder, his statement that the vice president became aware of incomplete information about Flynn and the nature of his contact with the Russian ambassador. Hemingway writes, beyond Lauder's vague statement to the Washington Post, it's remarkable to consider that when Flynn resigned, there had yet to be a single named source making a verifiable accusation of his doing anything illicit. And that in no way dampened the media frenzy. NBC's Chuck Todd called Flynn's resignation, quote, arguably the biggest presidential scandal involving a foreign government since Iran-Contra, unquote. Unhinged.
Right.
So about the reaction and the anonymous sourcing everywhere and almost exclusively.
I mean, it's become such a crutch. And the competition among media outlets has become so intense that there's just a greater willingness to go with an anonymous source and not verify that source. I do think there is a difference between broadcast and print. And I mean, every print outlet I've ever worked in, if I'm using an anonymous source, I have to tell my editor at least who it is. I have to verify it. And as far as incomplete or inaccurate information, if you look at the Tribune's A2 page, we run at least twice a week, certainly once a week, clarifications. If I spell someone's name wrong, I have to write a clarification. That's this long process, and they question, like, well, how did this happen? Were you on deadline? And you don't have to do that in broadcast media. Now, I know you're pointing to a New York Times story. I think that the relationships between, you might have a reporter who has one good relationship in the State Department, and then they continually go back to that person.
Right.
I think anonymous sources, people who can then, they trust the reporter, they can speak freely without having their name printed. I think they know that they can get away with giving inaccurate information.
Well, and then the other thing, too, is you feel like some of these sources, maybe because they feel important, because the reporter's leaning on them and they see that with their content in newsprint, then they start maybe getting a little bit loosey-goosey with what they actually know to be true as opposed to what they think. And if there's no secondary verification, then all of a sudden you're just becoming a gossip rag.
Right.
And oh, by the way, the idea that you have like one well-placed source of the State Department, and because that's your only one, all of a sudden that person dons a cloak of omniscience. They know everything that's going on in the State Department on every topic, and of course that can't be true.
No. I would offer the caveat, though, that there are whistleblowers who are real people. I mean, I've worked with some of these in state government. A whistleblower was the person who blew the lid on the George Ryan scandal, where they were taking bribes in the Secretary of State's office, and it was a Secretary of State employee who was collecting all these tips, and she had this coat where she would stick she would take notes and stick them in pockets in her coat. So I don't want to discount the importance of people actually needing, anonymity and coming forward and feeling like the press is their last option because they've tried to
Go through
affect
the
change.
channels.
Right.
Yeah, but that's a situation where then, okay, so you get the whistleblower, you get the tip, and then you go investigate it, and you find corroborating evidence, and you keep investigating, and you find more. So that's fine. That's journalism.
Right.
What we're talking about here is something else. Paul in Lake Forest, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. Great show.
Thank you.
Let's see. I didn't call about this reason, but isn't fake news intentional lying to further your agenda? I mean, I don't understand that, but that's not why I called.
Yeah.
We know Trump won because he basically used that World Wrestling Federation business model of, especially for the internet, of saying the most outrageous things you can, draw the most unique hits, and try to get your exposure that way. And he defeated the 16 or 17 Republicans and went on to win that way. I look at the press as the referees in an old World Wrestling Federation bout. They mean nothing. Everybody knows they're a foil. Everybody knows that they're liars. That they're just all part of the show. They're just foils nowadays. Nobody believes them, I think. But you can't say it, right? Because you're ostracized like you were if you would have said that you were for Trump during the election. But I look at them as like the refs getting the noogies when the guys come out of a hold and the guy's rubbing his head. Oh, noogie. They don't mean anything. Nobody believes
Let me ask you, Paul. Do you distinguish? Sorry.
That's right.
Do you distinguish between media outlets, or you throw everybody into the same basket?
I pretty much throw everybody into the same basket. Everybody's got an agenda nowadays. It's terrible. It's so hard to get the truth out of anybody. It really is.
Thanks for the call, Paul. Appreciate it.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
If you're planning for the future and focused on growing your portfolio, pay attention to this message. Are you properly positioned to take advantage of changing markets? The Investor Education Institute is conducting a 3-session course on how to spot potential wealth-building opportunities. Call 800-504-8505 right now because these courses are limited to 20 attendees per session and can sell out quickly. You'll learn about the differences between passive and proactive investment strategies, something the big Wall Street firms typically won't teach you. Most importantly, you'll have access to the cutting-edge research, market studies, and proprietary software to help you determine market trends and potential turning points. These tools are designed to help you seek out potential wealth-building opportunities, help you avoid areas of risk, and eliminate decisions based on fear and emotions. Take back control of your financial future. Call the Investor Education Institute right now at 800-504-8505 before this event sells out. That's 800-504-8505. Or register online at instituteforinvestors.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up, are we on the cusp of a dictatorship? We'll review what Senator McCain had to say about President Trump at 5:37. But now we check the news with Dave Stewart.
Thank you, Dan. Thanks, Kristen. Good morning. 44 degrees in Chicago, 532 on AM 560, The Answer. Cloudy skies today. Look for a high of 65. More than 14,000 Facebook users expected to turn out for a Not My President's Day rally in Manhattan outside the Trump International Hotel. Yesterday, more than 1,000 people, including music mogul Russell Simmons, gathered at Times Square to support Muslims affected by the president's travel ban.
We're here to make a change, to promote unity, to recognize our beautiful brothers and sisters of the Muslim faith.
The rally also is expected today in Chicago. South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham calling on the Trump administration to get tough on Russia with a more forceful response to Vladimir Putin.
The bottom line is it is now time to punish Russia.
Appearing on CBS's Face the Nation, the Republican said President Bush made a mistake embracing Putin and President Obama was just plain weak in dealing with the Russian leader. Cook County prosecutors are charging a woman with starving a 2-month-old son to death 2 years ago, allowing the baby to become so emaciated that medical personnel could make out facial bones and see individual ribs. Prosecutors say Sean Quayle Minnis, now 22, gave birth to a healthy full-term baby on September 13th of 2014, but by November, when the boy was found unresponsive, the baby weighed 4 pounds and 13 ounces. Immigration agents in Atlanta have arrested a man who escaped from an Illinois prison in 2003 while serving an 8-year sentence on a drug charge. Jorge Soberanes Romaldo was taken into custody Friday as part of an immigration enforcement that targeted criminals. Authorities say he's a Mexican national who was in the U.S. illegally. In sports, Blackhawks over the Sabres 5-1. The news is service of Liberty Mutual.
From weather to traffic and everything in between, you have enough things to worry about every day. Insurance shouldn't be one of them. You can leave worry behind when Liberty stands with you. Liberty stands with you. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
AM 560 News Time, 5:34. Traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Mike Gallagher says it's all about substance from Trump.
Will you explain to me why like-minded Americans get more hung up on the way President Trump words a tweet than the merits of what it is he's trying to do? Will someone answer that question for me? Why do the tweets become more important than the substance?
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, roasted fresh daily in Batavia, Illinois.
Calling all business owners. Are you running your business without being incorporated? If you answered yes, you are now eligible to incorporate in just 10 minutes. It's a quick incorporation event from Incorporate.com, designed to save small business owners from the risk of losing everything. Just call this number for your free 10-minute incorporation guide, 1-800-700-6044. If you're not incorporated, it's not just your business that can be sued. It's you, too, which means you could lose everything. Your home, your car, even your life savings. That's why small business owners across the country are now scrambling to incorporate during this event. Call now for your free 10-minute incorporation guide while supplies last. 1-800-700-6044. Incorporate.com doesn't provide legal or financial advice. They just make incorporating or forming an LLC quick and easy. But hurry and call now while they're still giving these 10-minute incorporation guides away for free. Call 1-800-700-6044. That's 1-800-700-6044.
Hey, are you thinking about the IRS right now? Man, if the IRS is coming after you, your problem, your IRS problem is there day and night. You need help to fight the IRS. I recommend you call my very good friend, Attorney Stephen Leahy of Open Tax Resolutions. Hey, he's got a special offer going on right now. If you're not certain about your position with the IRS, he will pull your personal IRS transcripts and find out exactly where you stand for free. Find out where you stand. If you owe back taxes, if you have unfiled returns. Hey, if you're afraid of the IRS, call my friend Steve Leahy now. 312-664-6649. Steve's the host of the IRS Radio Hour, heard every Sunday at 5 right here on AM 560. He's also a really good friend of mine, and I don't know of anybody better in dealing with the IRS. Call him now. Steve Leahy, 312-664-6649. That's 312-664-6649.
5:37 from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, David. I-80 westbound Grange Road. The entrance ramp is closed. There's a crash involving a car and a ditch in that area. So a rollover westbound near 80th Avenue. Inbound Ryan, we're seeing a bit of a rush hour delay now from Canal Port to the Burns Circle. 17 minutes, 95th to downtown. Outbound 15, there's roadwork at 87th. 3 left lanes are blocked. Indiana Toll Road has delays due to the newest round of road construction. Eastbound slow from 94 to State Road 149. Westbound from the LaPorte Porter County line to past State Road 49. The loop, there closures at Congress and Wabash due to an earlier crash. Traffic is a service of the Chicago Auto Show. Shake off winter and visit the Chicago Auto Show at McCormick Place now through the 20th. That's today. Download the Chicago Auto Show app for the chance to win a 2-year lease on an all-new Buick Envision or GMC Acadia. Find out more at ChicagoAutoShow.com. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
And now your forecast, a service of AirComfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Variable cloudiness today with a high of 65. Tonight, mostly cloudy and mild. Could see a thunderstorm with a low of 52. Clouds in the morning tomorrow, sun in the afternoon. Tomorrow's high, 66. Right now, 46 at O'Hare. Next news, 6 o'clock. Get continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Now more of Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is sponsored by Wine Time Radio. Every Saturday at 5 p.m. on AM 560, explore the wonderful world of wine with host James Crooker and Rob Lehner.
Good morning, Dan. And in for Amy this morning, Kristen McQuarrie of the Chicago Tribune editorial board. And we're talking about, we've been talking about Trump's rally on Saturday in Melbourne, Florida, the continued focus on the media and its performance. And boy, was the media in a snit over the weekend per Trump's tweet calling ABC, NBC, CNN,
New York Times,
CBS, New York Times, enemies of the state. Enemies of the state. And Chuck Todd asked John McCain about that Trump tweet. And I want to give you the full statement that John McCain made in response to that, because it's been covered that John McCain said that Trump's tweet was somehow a step down the path towards dictatorship. I'm no John McCain fan, John McCain the politician, not my cup of tea. But I want to give you everything he said so we have full context, so we can have the discussion that, for example, the cable news networks weren't having, where they were, including people I respect like Jonathan Karl, where they were mischaracterizing exactly what McCain said, not providing the necessary context.
I'm curious of your reaction to a tweet that the president sent Friday night. The fake news media, failing New York Times, NBC News, ABC, CBS, CNN, is not my enemy. It is the enemy of the American people. You believe the press is the enemy? Do you believe any group of Americans are the enemy of another group of Americans?
I was talking about the period, as you know, of the New World Order. A fundamental part of that New World Order was a free press. I hate the press. I hate you especially. But the fact is, we need you. We need a free press. We must have it. It's vital. If you want to preserve, I'm very serious now, if you want to preserve democracy as we know it, you have to have a free and many times adversarial press. And without it, I'm afraid that we would lose so much of our individual liberties over time. That's how dictators get started.
That's how dictators get started, with tweets like that?
They get started by suppressing a free press. In other words, in consolidation of power, when you look at history, the first thing that dictators do is shut down the press. And I'm not saying that President Trump is trying to be a dictator. I'm just saying we need to learn the lessons of history.
By the way, the first thing most of the 20th century's dictators did was to disarm the populace. But they absolutely repressed the press as well. But I wanted that second part of what McCain said was underreported, right? He wasn't saying the tweet is indicative of Trump wanting to become a dictator. He was talking about the free press more generally. Here's the question I have, though, Kristen, and we'll throw this out as well to you all, 312-642-5600, Turnkey.pro answer line. This seems to me a bit of a straw man discussion we're having within the bubble inside the Beltway. Is somebody arguing for censorship? Has somebody proposed legislation to curtail the press? Is somebody suggesting certain outlets be shut down? The President of the United States isn't and hasn't. Nobody in his team has. Nobody in the Republican leadership or caucuses in the House or the Senate have. So what is the controversy? Being critical of the press? Being so critical as to say they're enemies of the American people? That's his opinion. So what?
I agree with you. I really like Chris Wallace, and he actually thought that Trump did go too far in calling the media the enemy of the state. I just think it's more, taking Trump too literally. And to your question, I've thought about this. Like, well, what are they complaining about? Because I've kind of come to Trump's defense here and there with the press, and then people think like I'm forgetting about the First Amendment or the Fourth Estate or something. Here's my answer to that. Here's what's happened so far. No, there's not. There's not like open records requests that are being denied, or FOIA, or people shutting down, or the government coming in and trying to mess with the internet to make sure we only see certain news stories, which is what happens in dictatorships, by the way. It's the fact that people in the D.C. press corps aren't getting their questions answered, and that he's only calling on certain people. That is the egregious behavior that has led John McCain to reference a dictatorship and shutting down the media somehow. is that reporters
How
are...
dare you call on somebody from the Daily Caller and not, our White House correspondent from the Washington Post?
I mean, I would love to know if I'm missing something. But really, I think it's that reporters feel that they're not getting their questions answered at press conferences, and somehow they don't know how to do their job if it isn't handed to them at a press conference. So,
And by the way, that's not even true. I mean, at his press conference on Thursday, Jim Acosta from CNN, Major Garrett from CBS, the reporter from the BBC, another beauty, as the BBC was termed. But I mean, it's not like he's afraid to take on these people. And oh, by the way, when he was a candidate, Trump, he went to the editorial board, the New York Times editorial board. So I mean, it seems to me that this all really boils down to ideology, and then the press believes their own hype and the hype coming from the left's professional agitators with their pants down and genitalia on their head, and that this is somehow the end of Western civilization, and that Trump is a existential threat to the republic, and you, Chuck Todd, and all the other breathless members of the press corps are the only thing that stands between us and either some kind of Hobbesian state of nature or a totalitarian, autocracy.
Right.
I mean, Chuck Todd in particular, because Meet the Press is kind of once upon a time, maybe Tim Russert's time was the end of it, was the gold standard for intelligent discussion of public affairs on Sunday morning. Well, that's obliterated. Between David Gregory, and now Chuck Todd, that is completely obliterated. They're just, I think so.
No, I agree. I don't really, I watch some of the Sunday shows later, but, I'm at church, Dan, on Sundays. I'm in Mass.
All day. Well,
So I miss some of it, but
That's what happens when your penance is 4,200 Hail Marys.
It is.
Yeah.
It takes hours. But also, I think maybe I'm just desensitized because I have lived in Rahm's world, where we get blocked. Our information gets blocked all the time. I mean, the Tribune has had to take him to court numerous times to get records released. So, I've had David Axelrod writing pieces about me that my own paper printed. Where was John McCain coming to my rescue at various points? So, I mean, there are ways that administrations can try to make the lives of journalists more difficult. But you know what? Work harder. If you're relying on spoon-fed quotes from press conference, then you're not a very good journalist.
Well, right. No, the Rahm thing is a great example. Where are the protests? Where's the hue and cry? A good piece of the American Thinker today, too. Where was McCain when Obama attacked the free press? Kind of following up on, where was John McCain when Axelrod was attacking you? But where was John McCain when James Rosen was illegally followed around by Obama's Department of Justice for a story he published on North Korea? Where was John McCain when President Obama, when CBS investigative reporter Cheryl Atkinson's computer was being taken over and hacked by what was almost certainly, supporters, if not agents of the Obama administration with respect to her Benghazi scandal reporting? James Risen was threatened with prosecution, New York Times reporter, if he didn't reveal his sources by the Obama Justice Department, and so forth. It seems to be very selective, and that becomes part of the problem as well. Marvin in Lincolnshire, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, I think the American public's opinion of the news is certainly exactly where it should be. I mean, they've done nothing for the previous 8 years, but they've been a cheer section for the Obama administration. They over and over they had multiple opportunities to challenge Obama and his minions. And they did nothing. They just cheered them on and turned a blind eye, dampened down stories like the IRS scandal, which we still have never gotten to the bottom of.
Yeah, that's right. No, I said, yeah, that's right. The IRS scandal is a good example.
I mean, they don't look at themselves. I mean, and as far as not being an anti-state organization, most every norm that we have had in this society that made our countries great, they're on the side that wants to tear it all down, and that's what most people are reflecting in their opinions about the news media today.
Thanks for the call, Marvin. Appreciate it. Philip in Blue Island, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. JFK did a speech about a free society, and he made the point how the First Amendment, how the founding fathers made it their opinion that the First Amendment would be about a free press. And now you have history shows that Mussolini and Hitler and those guys attacked the press, and they eventually shut it down after they got the people so riled up against the press. And now you have a Donald Trump who's basically cutting in the same mode of those tyrants, and now he's backing up Putin, and he's just acting as if he wants to be a dictator, but he's doing all the things as far as, attacking the press. I mean, he has enough nerve to say that Fox News in the morning is a great show. And I mean, it's really not even the media, it's an opinion show, but he puts that on the level of news media, and then actual news, he puts down as a enemy of the state, enemy of Americans, and when you mix them up, when you say, okay, conservative news is great news from the conservative side of the equation.
Uh-huh. And all the other news outlets that you like that have misreported stories gotten completely wrong.
I was going to say me in the middle. I like looking at both sides saying, this is some BS because somebody's trying to manipulate the American people on one side or on the opposite, on the Democratic side, if you will. So us in the middle who just want to honor the Constitution, who wants free press, who wants to believe every word that the president says. But you just yourself said, just because the president said that's what he thinks. Of course, that's what he thinks. So us as American people are going to say, well, okay, we got to put some kind of validity behind this. But we can't be fooled so easily, especially by somebody like Donald Trump, who actually fools us all, on every day, because he's not really real. I think it's Bannon who's real, or the vice president who's real. But Trump, I don't think he's really real.
Philip, thanks for the call. I mean, I'll take you at your word, Philip, that you want to honor the Constitution, but when you make unfounded statements about who's real and who isn't, and when you compare Donald Trump to Mussolini and Hitler, I would suggest you sit by your phone, because I think CNN is going to be calling you to host a roundtable.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. On AM 560, The Answer.
Your weather forecast today, areas of dense fog before 11 a.m., otherwise partly sunny with a high near 62. Tonight, a chance of showers and thunderstorms with a low around 52. Let's get a check of the roads with Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Kristen. I-80 westbound, the on-ramp from northbound LaGrange Road is blocked right now with a crash. The Indiana Toll Road has construction delays. Eastbound from 94 to State Road 149, westbound the Fort Porter County line to past State Road 49. Now seeing mild delays on the inbound Ryan and the inbound Stevenson, but the morning rush should be lighter than normal, this being President's Day. Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
There's a lot of talk right now about school choice. Well, if you've always felt like you didn't really have a choice to send your kids to private school because of the cost, then listen up. We want to tell you about halfpriceschools.com. At halfpriceschools.com, you can find local private schools from all over Chicagoland that are offering vouchers for a full year of tuition at half the price with no catch. Find a school near you, purchase the tuition voucher, and prepare to send your child off to school this fall. It's that simple. Halfpriceschools.com has schools located across Chicagoland, including schools in Chicago, Arlington Heights, Downers Grove, Antioch, Kankakee, LaSalle, Peru, Romeoville, Aurora. So make private school a real option for your family for the first time this year. Don't wait. Many of these vouchers will sell out. Visit halfpriceschools.com today. That's halfpriceschools.com.
If you save $500,000 in an IRA or 401k, you know it's not really $500,000, right? Because you still have to pay taxes on that money. But here's something that will shock you. Some people will pay through the nose in taxes when they withdraw money from their retirement accounts, while a smart and savvy few will legally pay far less. Could you potentially save thousands of dollars in taxes on your IRA or 401k and keep this money for yourself? Yes, you could. Learn how in a free report called 6 Ways to Tax-Free Income in Retirement from me, Tom Fortino, host of the Alpha Wealth Hour. The free report could save you tens of thousands of dollars. Call 630-873-6326. It's your choice. Pay the IRS or keep this money for yourself. Call 630-873-6326 or visit us on alphawealthgroup.com. That's alphawealthgroup.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Retirement Wealth Advisors, Inc.
This is Dan Proft with 60 Seconds of Sanity, brought to you by Upstream-Ideas.com. Much attention is focused on the totalitarian re-education camps that college campuses have become, but it's in K-12 where the indoctrination has generally begun. A case study is New Trier High School, a top public high school in Illinois that enjoys a national reputation because of its many famous graduates. Black students account for less than 1% of New Trier's student body. To make up for its diversity deficit, the high school's $420,000 a year superintendent instituted a mandatory racial rights seminar day during Black History Month. A review of the seminar's offerings reveals the Black Lives Matter directed sessions to be among the more measured, amid those that characterize the Chicago police as perpetrators of urban genocide and Colin Kaepernick's bended knee as something that should be immortalized in bronze. A parents group objected to the one-sidedness of the program, suggesting conservative black speakers to broaden the perspectives for consideration by students. That notion was summarily rejected. Just as Bob's Country Bunker and the Blues Brothers featured both kinds of music, country and western, so one of the country's best high schools features both kinds of public K-12 education, virtue signaling and bigot baiting.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan, and in for Amy, Kristen McCreary from the Chicago Tribune, Ed Board, and just another example, since we've spent the hour talking about the media. This was Reince Priebus giving a concrete example. To your point, Kristen, give specific examples. Priebus with Chuck Todd yesterday, Meet the Press, talking about all of the stories about the infighting and the disarray in the West Wing. Here's what Priebus said.
The amount of drama and spin that you read about, mostly in the Washington Daily gossip rags, is unbelievable stuff, and it just isn't true. And you read it every day, and you wonder what alternative universe they're reporting on, because it just isn't true.
Alternative universe, gossip rags, not true. I mean, so, Priebus is not exactly the kind of carnival barker that Trump is. And he gave specific examples from what he knows from talking to the intelligence community about what did or did not happen, at least as far as we know, with respect to former Trump campaign ads, talking to Russia, essentially discrediting that New York Times story that had the D.C. press corps abuzz, and then this whole subtext of chaos in the White House, chaos in the West Wing, lampooning Trump's statement on Thursday that the administration is running like a well-oiled machine. Maybe well-oiled machine is an overstatement, but the press is completely oblivious to their own overstatements, their own hyperbole, their own baselessness.
I mean, I think that's partly why people are so frustrated. It's not even that they're seeing mistakes in the paper. It's the scrutiny is just so over the top and so different from everything we've seen with other administrations.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing, independently owned business bank. Signature Bank listens to your story, learns about your business, and sticks with their customers. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Kurt Penn, founder and CEO of Good Foods. In 2007, I was shopping in a natural foods grocery store and had a vision for a company that would produce fresh, all-natural foods with a social conscience. Signature Bank helped turn that vision into what now is Good Foods. Signature Bank President Mick O'Rourke listened to our story and learned about our business. Mick has been with us every step of the way. Signature Bank takes care of the details so we can focus on producing good foods. Signature Bank is deeply invested in our success. Good Foods is very proud to bank with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center on AM 560. The Answer, I-80. The on-ramp from northbound LaGrange Road to westbound 80 is closed due to a crash. University Park is a wreck with injuries. Dunkel at Central. The Edens, Kennedy are delay-free. The Eisenhower 2. On Stevenson, slow pockets start around Cicero. 37 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive up on Fonda 34. Ryan has a 3 or 4 minute delay from Cermak to downtown. The other expressways look good. Only tollway issues are in Indiana. The Indiana Toll Road. Some roadwork delays in Porter County. Traffic service of LifeLock. Grabbing coffee or breakfast? If you swipe your card, you leave a trail of digital information thieves can use to steal your identity. Ever hear of LifeLock? Their U.S.-based team of specialists help resolve identity theft problems. Go to LifeLock.com now. Use promo code RISK to save 10%. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
And now your forecast, service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Today, patchy fog for the morning. Otherwise, it will be breezy and warm with a mix of clouds. High 65. Tonight, mostly cloudy with occasional rain and a thunderstorm. Mild with a low 52. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
In Chicago's O'Hare right now, it's 46 degrees. Good morning, I'm David Stewart in Chicago. Today's federal holiday will be marked by dozens of Not My President's Day rallies against Donald Trump nationwide. Organizers say thousands of people expected to take to the streets in New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago, as well as many other cities. Chicago police are investigating after police found a dead body in the Columbus Park Lagoon. Authorities say that officers found the man in the water yesterday while searching for a missing person in Columbus Park. The Cook County Medical Examiner's Office identified the victim as Darius Dobbs. A suburban state lawmaker wants to let you drive 5 miles an hour faster. State Senator Jim Oberweis is pitching a plan to increase the speed limit to 75 miles an hour on interstates outside of Chicago. It was a violent weekend in Chicago, but despite the warm weather, the trend this year in Chicago is slightly downward. 4 people were killed, about 24 wounded from Friday afternoon through Sunday. 2 of the wounded were 13-year-old boys. Last year, 6 were killed and 19 were wounded over that same weekend. The news is a service of Liberty Mutual.
From weather to traffic and everything in between, you have enough things to worry about every day. Insurance shouldn't be one of them. You can leave worry behind when Liberty stands with you. Liberty stands with you. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
And now an update from Fox News on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lisa Brady. The Trump administration targeting immigration on 2 fronts with a revised travel ban and a crackdown on illegal immigrants in the U.S. Fox Radio's Rachel Sutherland, live in Washington.
Lisa, a draft of the revamped immigration ban targets the same 7 countries in the president's original executive order and exempts those who already have a visa, even if they haven't used it yet. Green card holders and dual citizens will also be exempt. At the same time, the Homeland Security Department is releasing new guidelines aimed at aggressively detaining and deporting illegal immigrants. They include plans to hire thousands of additional enforcement agents, expand on the priority list for immigrants marked for immediate removal, and enlist local law enforcement to help make arrests. Lisa.
Rachel, after initial reports on the Homeland Security guidelines raised concern, one official says the White House has raised objections and is working to finalize the policy. The president still considering replacements for National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, ousted over misleading the administration about what he discussed with Russia. Vice President Mike Pence offering reassurance about Russia.
While the United States will continue to hold Russia accountable, at President Trump's direction, we will also search in new ways for new common ground with Russia.
This at an EU meeting in Brussels where he called the U.S. commitment to the European Union steadfast after President Trump's support of the UK exit. Northern California could get flooded again as another storm system dumps heavy rain.
I have a suitcase packed, and my husband and I already planned out.
She's in Fresno. All the rain renewing concern around the Oroville Dam, where nearly 200,000 were ordered to evacuate last week. 3 people died in storm-related accidents over the weekend. 100 homes damaged, thousands without power in San Antonio after a possible tornado ripping through central Texas overnight. No word of any injuries. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Do you own or run a business in Illinois that succeeded in this challenging economic environment? If so, we want to hear about it. AM 560's Business Tour 2017, presented by Signature Bank, will be highlighting business success stories. Tell us your story and be a part of a live broadcast of Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy. Find out more and submit your information at 560theanswer.com/business. That's 560theanswer.com/business.
The U.S. economy has been getting stronger, and home values have been increasing. This good economic news presents a unique financial opportunity for you. Hi, I'm Jay Farner, president of Quicken Loans. Many of our clients have been taking cash out of their homes, a strategy that might work for you. The smart move is to refinance your mortgage right now with Quicken Loans. The rate today on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 4.18%, APR 4.35%. Call Quicken Loans today at 800-QUICKEN to see how much we can lower your mortgage payment. For 7 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. And for the 3rd year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in the nation for mortgage servicing. Call 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com.
That's 800-QUICKEN.
Visit jdpower.com for award information. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS ConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Grow My Retirement with Bill Geiger of Geiger Wealth. Tune in Saturday afternoons at 2 for Grow My Retirement with Bill Geiger of Geiger Wealth.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. You know, in for Amy, I should say. Kristen McQuarrie, Chicago Tribune editorial board member, and we're happy to have her. Kristen, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks for bringing the Baileys.
Yeah.
It's man, it feels like
Is it good? It's homemade.
It feels like we're an hour ahead of where we actually are. I mean, that's
Really,
how
that's the effect of
That's
it?
how the Baileys helps.
Wow.
So here's the thing about Trump rallies, like the one in Melbourne, Florida on Saturday night, and this was the case during the campaign too. In addition to him being kind of unorthodox, to say the least, they're kind of fun. You know, he goes off script and he kind of does some fun stuff. I don't know how much fun Secret Service was having on Saturday night, but Trump is identified another star. He's elevated another individual while he's escalated the war of words to the press.
I'm worried about this person, yeah.
Gene Huber is this gentleman's name. He is a Boynton Beach car salesman, and Trump saw him on TV and took judicial notice and ultimately brought him on stage. Here's how it started at the rally, off script.
And I saw this man on television just now. I just saw him on television.
Me?
He said, I love Trump. Let Trump do what he has to do. That's my guy right there. It's true. Come here. Come here. No, I'm coming in. That's okay. Let him up. Let him up. I'm not worried about him. I'm only worried he's going to give me a kiss. I'm not worried about anything else. This guy is so great.
So this guy gets, identified, and it's like dancing in the dark. It's like,
Friends.
What's her name? Cox.
Courtney Cox.
Courtney Cox being pulled up on stage by Bruce Springsteen. There was no dancing, thank goodness. But he's trying to get up on stage, and then the phalanx of Secret Service, encircle him, because you can't just run up on stage with the president.
Right.
They discourage that. But Trump just said, I'm not worried about it. Just let him through anyway. And they ultimately do. And so Mr. Huber, Gene Huber, gets to the stage, and then he's given the mic.
This guy, so he's been all over television saying the best things, and I see him standing. And didn't you get here like at 4 in the morning?
I did, sir.
Say a couple of words to this crowd.
Mr. President, thank you, sir. We the people, our movement is the reason why our president of the United States is standing here in front of us today. When President Trump, during their election, promised all these things that he was going to do for us, I knew he was going to do this for us.
It's a bit of a tautology, but, yeah. And then they started dancing.
A star is born.
Star is
born. Thank you, man.
Huh?
You know why I worry about him, though?
Gene Huber.
Remember what happened to Joe the plumber?
Gene Huber's replacing Schwarzenegger on Celebrity Apprentice. Would you buy a Ford Taurus from Gene Huber?
Sure. Well, I wouldn't buy a Ford Taurus, but I would.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
no. This is a Buy American show. Don't tell them what I drive,
sorry.
please.
Right, exactly. I won't say what's in the parking lot. No, I worry because now he's going to have the full court press giving him a proctology exam and trying to discredit him. And just like Joe the plumber and all these other people who sort of bubble to the surface, I'm a little worried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gene Huber's. So this senior citizen rust-proofing she didn't need.
Right,
this is going to be the big story.
Sweep. Yeah, watch
that's
out.
That's going to dominate the Sunday talkies next week.
Yes.
Chuck Todd is going to be weeping for people
Right, like the
who
red
paid above list price.
the red sweater guy at the debate,
Ken
remember?
Bone.
Right, and then what happened to Ken
Turned
Bone?
out Ken Bone was a bit of a creep.
Ooh, little
Yeah.
little computer searching. Was it pornography on his computer or something?
Yeah, he was in some colorful chat room.
Right. See?
Yeah.
I'm predicting. I'm going to give it 4 days before this poor gentleman is taken down.
Gene Huber, Celebrity Death Watch. Mike on the north side, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. Good morning. I can't believe you're bad-mouthing Ford Tauruses. They're built on the south side of Chicago. Man, the ratings are going to drop on this show now. Come on.
I'm not bad-mouthing.
You got to keep them in line. You got to keep these guests in line.
Yeah, I know.
I drive a Ford Explorer, okay, so.
Yeah, see, there you go, Mike. You feel better?
Geez. I just got a couple calls, people telling me not to let her in on the LGBT party. She's not Trump enough.
Wait, now hold on a second, Mike. Kristen, are you familiar with Mike's LGBT party?
I'm afraid not.
It's love, guns, bacon, and Trump.
Okay.
That's the LGBT party.
all
And
right.
there's all kinds of requirements to get in, and then there's also disqualifiers that will prevent you from getting in. And I don't remember what many of them are, and I didn't even understand what some of them were.
Oh, I did. I
yeah.
actually do remember there was a lot of bowling shoes.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I can relate.
If you consider going bowling an acceptable first date, then you're in the LGBT party. If you consider going fishing an acceptable first date, you're in the LGBT
How about
party.
if today you are on your driveway sunbathing on the south side with a cooler? I mean,
What do you
that kinda
say,
works.
Mike?
It's going to be like 64. I think that works.
How about that, Mike? What do you say to that?
Only if you fire the grill up, too.
Okay, all right.
You can't cook inside when it's 60. You got to get the grill going.
And you have to take your shirt off, too.
Yeah.
Well,
and that's the
some
women.
people should not have shirts off. I know it's warm, but some people should not have shirts off.
Believe
the
me.
reason I
Go
called
to
was
Comiskey
because
every
of
summer.
the great job the press is doing with Trump. Let's see, they did such a great job. They never challenged the last president. Every time there was a altercation between somebody of an African American background and a police officer, he always went against the police officer. Right or wrong, he always went against the police officer. And that just set the tone for a lot of this lawlessness. And the press never asked him about his sudden wealth either, about that mansion that was built for him by the Pritzkers in Hawaii, or how did he acquire that penthouse at 130 North Garland Court. Press has been real silent about that. Maybe the new U.S. attorney or the new IRS will look into it.
Thanks for the call, Mike. You know, it's interesting. That's a nice segue, and I don't know if I qualify for the LGBT party, Mike's LGBT party or not. But
You don't.
I'm working on it. My bubble is thicker than I think the median bubble thickness is for LGBT party, according to the Charles Murray quiz. I was like at a 30.
Yeah, I think you only probably understood about 30% of what the requirements were to be in the party.
Part of it is because I'm such a young whippersnapper. I'm just a kid. Yeah. But to Mike's point about the details of, Obama's wealth, it was kind of like the lack of coverage of things that I don't really find much value in obsessing about. You know, how many days he plays golf. I don't care. I wish he would have played golf every day of his presidency, because that means he wouldn't have been legislating. He wouldn't have been proposing policy changes, signing executive orders. Right. I mean, I want him to not be governing. He's much less dangerous playing golf, except to those on the course with him. So that doesn't bother me. Even the opulent vacations or the taking, the full complement of family members and friends at taxpayers' dime. It's a little thing that is indicative of bigger things, but it's still a little thing. So why are we now getting the obsessing about it with respect to Trump? And here's how sensitive the press is. Now, I know you probably don't consider Don Lemon a member of the D.C. press corps. You don't consider him a journalist. And I think you're laughing.
I did until he got completely sloshed on New Year's Eve.
He's looking for a fellow this year, and he's ready for a relationship. And
a little too much tequila.
Yeah, that's great. So, but at least he won't be, crying in his room listening to Katie Clarkson albums anymore.
Kelly
Clarkson.
Jeez.
Sorry.
You're losing your young whippersnapper card here.
Although
real
she's
fast.
not exactly au courant anymore.
Well, okay.
Yeah. So Don Lemon convened a panel to talk about the cost of providing security for Trump. And could we do it more efficiently to save money for the U.S. taxpayer? I mean, are you kidding me? A fiscal watchdog, Don Lemon.
How much time was this panel allotted?
Well, it was about 5 minutes, but Don Lemon cut it short because Paris Denard, who is an African-American surrogate, he's a blogger, but he's like a surrogate for Trump. He's a Trump supporter. And Lemon got into it about fake news. Listen to this exchange.
We are simply talking about the cost to keep a president safe, the Secret Service cost, and what are the pros and the cons, and as Andre said, and if there are ways that we can maybe able to work on that to make it fiscally better for the American people. There is nothing fake about that. Please stop it with that stupid talking point that it is a fake news story. If you don't want to participate in the news stories on this network, then don't come on and participate. But don't call them fake because you don't agree with them. Go on.
Don, this is a fake news story, in my opinion, because the underlying
Paris,
assumption
thank you very much, everyone. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend. Good night, all.
He's just signed off.
So you're allowed to be on the show. You could be on the show momentarily to provide an alternative view, but if you express it, then you get cut off.
Right. Because you fake news, that's an insult to Don Lemon's journalistic integrity. The guy who was getting his ear pierced while he was drunk on
and tattooed
on New Year's Eve on CNN.
I mean, I know I appreciate looking into every penny that flies out of Washington, including stories like this. But I mean, there might be actually like legit reasons why it costs more to protect Trump's family, because he has 4 grown kids who aren't just confined to the White House. I mean, and I guess this is the broader point. Did anybody look into what Valerie Jarrett's security detail was? Or this is why people are upset. It's not even so much the fake news, the falsities. It's the focus, the hyper-intensive focus on stories like this that Obama did not have to deal with, as far as I know.
Well, that's a good point. And the other thing is I get the idea. Is Trump personally profiting from the presidency, doubling the initiation fees at Mar-a-Lago and so forth? Fine. I don't like politicians personally profiting from their office. Apparently in Illinois, we don't care, and it's the left that keeps electing him that doesn't care. So their concern with Trump personally profiting or his family personally profiting from the White House is interesting because of its relative newness. But the other thing is, now you're a fiscal conservative. You're a fiscal hawk now. Let's start with Secret Service. That's where we could do some real cutting. I don't want to talk about entitlements. I don't want to talk about.
Don't talk about the defense budget. Don't talk about agency spending and education and EPA. I know.
I don't want to talk about where 90% of the $4 trillion we spend every year goes. I mean, and of course we spend a lot more than that. We just call it borrowing. But I don't want to talk about any of that. Secret Service. That's where we can turn this ship around.
This $11 million, we've got to examine every penny.
It's a great point you raised, the idea of the focus. The focus, in addition to the hypocrisy is manifest, but the focus is something that is a little bit more subtle as it's appropriate to raise. George in Libertyville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, I saw that, and it was so ridiculous. I don't remember once in the last 8 years when Obama spent nearly $1 billion on vacations, what that was going to cost.
Yeah, well, thanks for the call, George. Yeah, I mean, right. That's the hypocrisy piece of it, the vacations and all of the extended family staff that goes on these vacations and takes over floors of hotel rooms and tropical venues and all that. Again, I don't like the president, any president, or Obama, Trump, whoever, being treated like royalty. I think that there's too much lavished on the president and on politicians in general, from salaries to associated benefits. But I mean, there's no even-handedness by the D.C. press corps on these issues, and that's where people roll their eyes and say, "Oh, well, you're just in the tank for the other side. You're just trying to take him down. You're not trying to provide value-added information."
No, and it's not even that they wrote about it. That's fine. Please write about how much it's costing. Give us a daily ticker. It's the fact that it was a sit-down panel on CNN.
Right.
I mean, come on. You're devoting precious broadcast time to these kinds of stories, and that's where people are waking up to just I wouldn't even go as far to say hypocrisy, although that is true in some cases, but just the fact that what they're choosing to be a story versus what they didn't choose to be a story under the Obama administration.
The only thing I could say in defense of CNN, that panel was still better than the Don Lemon looking for a fella panel.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Your weather forecast today, this is bikini sunbathing weather on the south side. It's going to be a high near 62 degrees.
And that's for the guys.
Of course, yeah. Sun's out, guns out. Areas of dense fog before 11 a.m., but that will be lifting. And tonight, chance of showers and thunderstorms. Let's get a check of traffic with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Kristen. And Dan, that fog is especially thick south of Chicago, so allow some extra time in following distance. You won't find heavy traffic for the most part, this being a holiday for some. But it is slow on the Indiana Toll Road. There's a new round of road work now on the Toll Road, including in the Portage area. Eastbound it's slow from 94 to State Road 149. Westbound heavy from the LaPorte Porter County line to past State Road 49 due to a right lane closure. You have slow traffic on the inbound Kennedy from the River Road Toll to Canfield. It's just a 1-minute delay. Outbound it's clear. Eden's fine. Inbound Eisenhower. Again, about a 1-minute delay. First Avenue to Des Plaines Avenue. Clear outbound. Stevenson. It's slow starting around Pulaski. 38 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound fine at 34. Bryan has a 2 or 3 minute delay entering downtown. Northbound Tri-State just a little slow at 290. The other tollways look great. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
You're never too old to learn something new, especially when it concerns your golden years. Join North Shore Capital Group at their retirement educational classes held at local colleges in your community. Each class is an interactive workshop that's held over 2 sessions and includes a workbook for you to keep and follow. Instructor Victor Rigoni will provide you with the tools and guidance to help you reach your personal finance retirement goals. At the end of the full class, you'll receive an opportunity to book an independent, complimentary consultation so that you can implement a proper retirement strategy. It's never too late to educate yourself about retirement. Call North Shore Capital Group, 312-260-7929. That's 312-260-7929 to find a workshop near you. North Shore Capital Group Incorporated, an independent firm with securities offered through Summit Brokerage Services, Inc., member FINRA SIPC, and advisory services offered through Summit Financial Group, Inc., a registered investment advisor. 847-735-9200, 250 East Illinois Road, Suite 201, Lake Forest, Illinois, 60045.
Dr. Timothy Goodwin here. If you want a flatter belly and haven't tried my new belly flattening breakthrough, Somobiotics, yet, then I'm looking for you. Over 300,000 people are already loving their belly flattening results with Somobiotics, but I want everyone to be able to try it. That's why I'm giving away free trials right now to everyone who calls in the next 10 minutes. As a doctor, I know many big bellies are actually just bloated bellies. That's why I helped create Somobiotics, to flatten bloated bellies fast by cleansing pounds of rotting food and toxic sludge from your body. Made right here in the U.S. with natural ingredients. If your belly flattening results are too dramatic, reduce use to every other day.
For your free trial, call in the next 10 minutes for details. 1-800-600-2811. Hurry, join the hundreds of thousands flattening their bellies while Dr. Goodwin is still giving trials away for free. 1-800-600-2811. Limit 1 per household. 1-800-600-2811. 1-800-600-2811.
Looking to stop the runaround? Continental Audi of Naperville puts you in the driver's seat with straight talk and no hassle. Plus, we offer maintenance valet service and our VIP loyalty program after the sale. It's part of the Continental difference that you'll experience. Right now, lease the legendary Audi A4 for only $399 a month, and we'll even make your first payment to get you started. Continental Audi Naperville has a large selection, including more than 300 new and pre-driven vehicles ready to drive. Plus, qualified buyers get 1.9% financing on certified Audis. Drive an Audi and feel the difference in your driving enjoyment. Drive an Audi from Continental, and you'll know the difference an exceptional dealership can make. Experience the Continental Audi difference. ContinentalAudi.com.
36-month lease, $3,015 due outstanding, includes first month payment, tax, title, license extra, subject to credit approval through Audi Financial Services.
Hi, this is Amy Jacobson, and I'm excited to tell you about Bert and Will Plastic Surgery and Laser Center. Childbearing, breastfeeding, weight gain, weight loss, or normal aging can cause a level of concern about our appearance. Oh, I know, and unfortunately, dieting, exercise, and healthy lifestyles aren't always enough. Dr. Bert offers the Mommy Makeover, including a tummy tuck and breast augmentation with the new Memory Shape implants. Dr. Will specializes in Botox, neck lifts, and many other procedures to uncover the beauty within. And now men and women can benefit from the great new NeoGraft hair transplant treatment that requires minimal downtime and no scarring. Doctors Bert and Will are female board-certified plastic surgeons. I've met them. I love them. I recommend you meet them too. You can receive a complimentary consultation at any of their Chicagoland offices or just register for a seminar. Call 630-930-3555 or visit uncovermybeauty.com. That's 630-930-3555 or uncovermybeauty.com.
Hey, I'm Brant. So there's this family, Jeremy and Sharon, and a couple kids, and they're all very healthy, and they did something to save money. They switched from health insurance to Medi-Share, and then they had a third baby, a little girl named Anya, and she was very sick.
We've had a lot of hospital visits.
A whole week in a children's hospital, CAT scans and blood tests and chemical tests, and I think we saw a dozen doctors. It was all shared.
Yeah, the bills were shared by the other members of Medi-Share. That's how this works. So get this, they save hundreds a month. They don't have to deal with health insurance companies or government health care plans, and they get to be part of a community that cares.
Medi-Share has always been there for us and helped meet the needs that we have as a family.
It's no wonder this is growing so fast. It is worth looking into. Here's how. Call 844-41-BIBLE. Now, it's available everywhere but Montana. 844-41-BIBLE.
AM 560.
The Answer.
Dan, and in for Amy this morning is Kristen McQuarrie. And Kristen, last week we had the Day Without Immigrants. Do you remember that was the day that Rick Bayless courageously, ostentatiously demonstrated his marketing for his restaurants? Topolobampo, Frontera Grill were as well marketing.
He closed them for the day.
Yeah,
but
on a Wednesday.
But did he pay them? I can't find that anywhere. He did. He gave them a day off with pay.
He said he did.
Okay. All right.
We haven't audited Topolobampo and Frontera Grill, but I certainly would encourage the IRS to do so.
We'll get a CNN panel on that next.
Exactly. So wonderful virtue signaling from Rick Bayless. Some other owners of companies not quite as ecstatic in a restaurant, I Don't Care Bar and Grill in Catoosa, Oklahoma. 12 individuals who failed to show up for work can continue not showing up for work because they were fired. He texted one of the employees who relayed this to local news outlets. "You and your family are fired," read a text to one of the fired employees. "I hope you enjoyed your day off and you can enjoy many more. Love you." Well, that's a nice and love you.
So harsh.
I wonder if that's a bit sarcastic at the end. The 12 now former workers feel like they were unfairly terminated, said a friend translating for 6 of them. Pregnant pause. They're upset they stood for something they felt was necessary so the community would stand together, and they got terminated for that, said the friend. Wrongfully terminated? I mean, I have a friend in the restaurant business who was telling me one of his kitchen staff asked for the day off, and he gave him the day off. But it seems like they just walked off the job because they felt it was important to them, and they didn't feel like it was important in this Oklahoma case, and they didn't feel like it was important to the owner to seek and get his permission for the day off, and so the owner took the step that he took.
I mean, if I take off the Women's Day, what is it called?
Oh, that's coming up. Yeah.
And didn't do it without following proper channels, I think I would get fired too. I appreciate the compassion. I appreciate this whole movement. But, there's a basic rule of thumb here. If you break the rules, you have a right to express your First Amendment rights. Go do it. Have a great time. And your employer has a right to can your ass if you don't show up for work.
Yeah. It's pretty straightforward. Here, by the way, that women's general strike I'm going to put this on your calendars, guys.
Okay.
That International Women's Day is, they're trying to effort an extension of last Wednesday, A Day Without Women. That's March 8th. Now, the only thing I would ask, and maybe you can run this, up the flagpole with the group. So you probably have an in that I don't. Can you move it from March 8th to March 18th? I'm not asking for me because I'm not married, but March 18th is the first day of the NCAA tournament. And for my fellow brethren,
it'd be nice if you had no women around to bother you on that day.
You said
text
that.
you and call you and say, "Where are you? And are you coming home?"
You said that, and you said it in that
There's
voice.
laundry to do.
I didn't.
I'm
force
not
that
worried
upon you.
about March 8th, A Day Without Women, because we've trained you so well. You'll do just fine.
Oh, is that it?
Mhm.
Yes.
Whereas if A Day Without Men, we wouldn't miss a beat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who was it that said, "Oh, what a heaven are women! Oh, what a hell! Were there no women, men would live like kings." Who said that? I have to recall. I recall the quote vividly. Though.
I see that.
One other point on this, on the Day Without Immigrants. Here's the thing, and I wrote a 60-second commentary on it. It's my 60 Seconds of Sanity this week, which you can get at upstream-ideas.com. It'll also be on our show throughout the week. But the thing I found disreputable about it, and highlighting leftist xenophobia, which is, xenophobia is the irrational fear of people from another country.
Mm-hmm.
Leftist xenophobia is the irrational fear of distinguishing between peaceful persons and predators when it comes to entry into our country. No distinction made between people who are here legally and people who are not. No distinction made between people who are here and building a better life for themselves and contributing to America and people who came here to game the welfare system. And there are people who do that. No distinction made between DACA, those children brought here illegally by their parents through no fault of their own, and violent convicted criminal predators who are released by ICE and have been for years. 2013 alone, this famous exchange between Ted Cruz and then ICE Director Saldana. In 2013, 193 convicted murderers released by ICE, 427 individuals convicted of sexual assault. No distinction made between any of those groups. It's just all under the rubric of immigrants, and that is disingenuous. And it frankly, it prevents people from being more welcoming to those that are seeking asylum from genocide in the Middle East, or those who are seeking a better life for themselves and their families, like so many of their immigrant countrymen have found in this country. It's the left that is actually anti-immigration, if you look at it from that perspective.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Are all insurance agents the same? Well, I'd like to think I will work a little harder for you to give you the personal touch you need when it comes to protecting your family and hard-earned assets, and hope to become your family's trusted advisor. My name is Tom Murray, and I'm an agent with Allstate Insurance, and we take our motto very seriously. You are, in fact, in good hands with us. I've been an active ministry leader at my church for over 20 years and longtime listener to AM 1160. I share your values and concerns. I've earned a 5-star rating with every social media venue because I deal directly with you and will exceed your expectations in every way. Call me, Tom Murray, directly, as I'm confident that we can save you some money and make sure that the insurance that you have on your auto, business, retirement, and home is the right coverage for you. Give me 15 minutes, and if I don't save you money, I'll give you a $10 gift card to Starbucks. 847-380-1590 or Google Tom Murray Allstate and visit my website, 847-380-1590.
Running a business is challenging, especially in Illinois. Mountains of regulations, taxes, fees, and more may be coming. Business owners who manage to survive and thrive deserve to be recognized, and that's exactly what we here at AM 560 The Answer are doing. This spring, we're hitting the road on the AM 560 Business Tour presented by Signature Bank. It's a way for us to celebrate local businesses who are overcoming the odds and succeeding in spite of the many challenges they face. Think of it as making businesses great again. We want to give back to the business community by broadcasting this show live from your location throughout Chicagoland, or various locations throughout Chicagoland. Does your business have a great success story? If so, we want to hear about it. Go to 560theanswer.com/business. Fill out the brief form to tell us about how you and your business are beating the odds to serve your clients and your community. We'll select several businesses that stops on our AM 560 Business Tour and we'll broadcast from your location to share your success with our audience. So go to 560theanswer.com/business to tell us your story. That's 560theanswer.com/business. And we may be stopping at your business this spring on the AM 560 Business Tour, sponsored by Signature Bank. Coming up, cinch it up and hunker down at 6:36. We've got Diamond and Silk, and now we have Carnegie Mellon's very own Dave Stewart with the news.
Oh, thank you, Dan. Thanks, Kristen. Good morning. 46 degrees in Chicago, 634 on AM 560, The Answer. Partly cloudy skies today with a high of 65. The U.S. may soon get a lot more aggressive about detaining and deporting illegal immigrants at the U.S.-Mexico border. A Department of Homeland Security plan that could get White House approval this week would authorize the hiring of more border agents. Ohio Governor John Kasich says it's vital and critically important. The message from the Trump administration is that the U.S. stands together with the Western Alliance and with NATO.
We can hear from the Vice President, we can hear from General Mattis, we can hear from General Kelly, but we're not sure about the President. And it is vital that the administration be on the same page.
On CNN's State of the Union from Munich, Germany, the Republican chief executive said President Trump needs to be heard in a more clear, compassionate way that the U.S. is standing firm with its allies. The president's explaining his puzzling remarks about Sweden on Twitter. He says his statement was in reference to a Fox News segment about immigrants in that country. The comments at a Saturday rally in Florida seem to suggest a terror attack. Chicago fire officials say a man in his 20s is dead after a house fire early today in the Albany Park neighborhood. The fire started just before 3 this morning in a 1.5-story home in the 4700 block of North Harding. The victim was the only occupant. He was taken to Swedish Covenant Hospital in critical condition and later pronounced dead. Meanwhile, 3 people, including a firefighter, were injured late last night in a house fire in the Fernwood neighborhood on the far south side. That happened about 11 o'clock inside a home on LaSalle Street near 101st. 2 people injured, taken to Roseland Community Hospital. Firefighter taken to Mercy with minor injuries. And finally, there are reports that Pink Floyd's Roger Waters is considering a performance of the band's 1979 classic, The Wall, at the U.S.-Mexico border. According to Euronews, in a recent interview, Waters said he would be open to the idea. In sports, Blackhawks over the Sabres 5-1. The Hawks are in Minnesota tomorrow. News and service of Staples. You're filing your own taxes this year? Well, Staples helps you be accountable with everything you need for tax season for less. Storage boxes and filing supplies to software like QuickBooks and TurboTax. Right now, get up to $15 off when you buy TurboTax, in-store only. Ends April 1st. Staples, make more happen. AM 560 News Time, 6:36. Traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Dennis Prager is sympathetic to teachers.
Most teachers care about their students. They also care about their incomes. They're really between a rock and a hard place, most teachers. If the issue is what is good for children, the teachers' unions are despicable. If the issue is what's good for my income, the teachers' unions are angels. That's really what a teacher has to confront. If you know only one thing about life, know that whatever the left touches, it wrecks.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's Galaxy's free sale. Free installation, free design, and free financing.
773-783-8300. Call Galaxy.
Check this out. Once again, MyPillow sweetened the deal. In addition to the Mike Lindell 4-pack special with 40% off 2 premium MyPillows plus 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows, you also get free shipping. In fact, you'll get free shipping off any order over $100. Remember, Mike Lindell invented MyPillow for everybody with pillow-related sleep issues. You can move the patented fill to give you the exact support you need regardless of sleep position. You'll get into deep sleep faster and stay there longer. No waking up to a stiff neck or headache. They're manufactured in the U.S. and have a 10-year warranty. It's washable and dryable with a 60-day money-back guarantee. Again, for a limited time, you'll receive Mike Lindell's 4-pack special with 40% off plus free shipping. Call 1-800-489-0201 and be sure to use the promo code Amy to receive this unreal deal. If you've been putting off purchasing a MyPillow, it's time to finally start getting a great night's sleep. I do. Go to MyPillow.com or call 1-800-489-0201 and use the promo code Amy.
If I only had more leads. If I only had more prospects to sell to. Sound familiar? The Sales Prospecting Group is ready to help you take your business to the next level. The Sales Prospecting Group is a local Chicagoland company that has helped hundreds of companies nationwide to secure new business by getting them in the door. The Sales Prospecting Group will get you appointments with qualified prospects to help you grow your business. They don't use contract labor labor or offshore callers. Their in-house staff of business account executives are highly trained, professional, and effective. The Sales Prospecting Group will build a custom campaign specifically for your business. They know how to navigate complex corporate hierarchies to get to the right people and get you connected with them. The Sales Prospecting Group specializes exclusively on B2B sales. Call the Sales Prospecting Group now to learn how they could help your business grow in 2017. 630-701-9052. 630-701-9052. The Sales Prospecting Group. It's time to grow.
At 6:38 from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center, here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, David. Kennedy, 25 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 22 after a crash at Irving Park. The Edens is fine. The Eisenhower as well. Stevenson, 39 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan, 18 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State slow from the Reaganville way to the Eisenhower. Veterans Memorial a bit tight. Past Army Trail to 290. Yet a toll road has some roadwork delays in Porter County. Traffic is a service of LifeLock. Grabbing coffee or breakfast, if you swipe your card, you leave a trail of digital information thieves can use to steal your identity. Ever hear of LifeLock? Their U.S.-based team of specialists help resolve identity theft problems. Go to LifeLock.com now. Use promo code RISK to save 10%. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
And now your forecast, a service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Variable cloudiness today, look for a high of 65. Tonight, mostly cloudy, maybe a thunderstorm, occasional rain with a low of 52. Clouds in the morning tomorrow, sun in the afternoon, a high of 66. Right now, 46 at O'Hare. Next news, 7 o'clock. Get continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Now more of Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is sponsored by Financial Planning with Jack Taboda, your 401k specialist. Heard Saturday mornings at 7 right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Cash, cold, that's what I need.
Good morning, Dan. And in for Amy this morning is Kristen McQuarrie, she of the Chicago Tribune editorial board. And Kristen, if you think that Donald Trump was tough on the D.C. press corps, wait until Diamond and Silk get finished with them. We're about to be joined by Diamond and Silk, but I just want to set them up by refreshing everybody's recollection of what Donald Trump had to say, President Trump, on Saturday in Orlando. During his rally, as he was happy to be among the people and not the press corps.
I'm here because I want to be among my friends and among the people.
And this is not anything new for a president to do, to get outside the Beltway and do a campaign-style rally, to get out and get back to essentially more or less campaigning. This is not unusual.
No.
The somewhat unusual part, which press criticism, not unusual either, but the tenor of it, the focus of it, the emphasis on it is a bit different. Trump explaining why he's here among the people.
I also want to speak to you without the filter of the fake news. The dishonest media, which has published one false story after another, with no sources, even though they pretend they have them, they make them up in many cases. They just don't want to report the truth, and they've been calling us wrong now for 2 years. They don't get it, but they're starting to get it. I can tell you that.
And this is where Trump got cross with the delicate sensibilities of a Chuck Todd at Meet the Press, for example, where he started characterizing the press, at least certain outlets, as the enemy.
When the media lies to people, I will never, ever let them get away with it. I will do whatever I can that they don't get away with it. They have their own agenda, and their agenda is not your agenda.
And, of course, he also tweeted that these certain outlets, the alphabet soup of networks, and throw in the New York Times, are actually enemies of the people. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined again by the hosts of The Viewer's View, the best pundits in the business, Diamond and Silk. Diamond and Silk, thanks so much for being with us again. Appreciate it.
Oh, my God. Thank you for having us.
Now, I was surprised I didn't see you on stage with one Gene Huber in Orlando or Melbourne on Saturday.
Wait a minute. Let me stop you. We were on stage.
You were?
They introduced Trump,
and
right?
we also sent a message to the media. And we told them we didn't believe them in the primaries. We didn't believe them in the general election. And I told them to read my lips. We don't believe you now. That's right.
Wow. You do a great George H.W. Bush impersonation, too. Now, I apologize. I'm embarrassed. I didn't know that you were there on stage.
You
You got to do your homework, Dan. Did you actually introduce Trump? Or you definitely had.
We were the first ones to go on stage.
Oh.
We were the first ones to go on stage, and we shut the house down, and we got
Of course
on
you did.
the media.
I'm Chasen. I'm going to have to recuse myself from the rest of this interview and turn it over to Kristen.
Yeah,
after I've
let me
Oh,
insulted Diamond and Silk. My gosh.
The mistakes happens. I understand.
Right. See, media make mistakes, Dan.
Well,
See?
even somebody as normally infallible as myself.
Well, so I wanted to ask you, since obviously you were there and you were on stage, and you feel the aura of this rally, and then you read the press coverage afterward, or you watch it. What is your reaction, having been there?
Having been there, it was just like we were family.
Yeah.
It was like the energy was so energized. It's a movement. It's a movement like none other. And I was so happy that he was there with the people, because this election was won by the people. So I love it. I absolutely love it. Listen, this is a movement. And in order for his agenda to be, given out or for him to move on his agenda, he's going to have to be out here with the people. We do not believe anything that the media say. The media, these reporters and these journalists, they have their own agenda, and that is they have a political agenda, and they're trying to influence the American people, and it's not going to work. See, we want free press, not control press.
Or fake press.
That's right. That's what we want. And if they can't give us that, we're not going to look at them. We're going to hear directly from our president. That's what we love.
Yeah, see, that's the interesting thing. And you're echoing the sentiments of Trump and members of the Trump administration. Nobody's talking about censorship. Nobody's talking about this outlet shouldn't exist or that outlet shouldn't exist. We're just saying, look, if you're going to be unfair, if you're going to not present the entire story, the incomplete story, as Kellyanne Conway says, then we're just not going to pay attention to you. But that's our choice. It doesn't mean you can't do whatever you want. We're just going to choose to ignore you.
We're going to choose to ignore you. We're going to tune you out. We're going to turn our televisions to another station. We will not allow anyone to disrespect our president. Well, you have to understand that these people not only elected him, voted for him and elected him, we all love him. We all love him. What we felt when our First Lady and our President walked in the room, walked on the stage, I was just like, everybody wanted to just weep. I mean, I've never seen anything like this, not in my lifetime. And listen, they're going to have to give him a chance. He is going to be one of the most best presidents, the greatest president we ever seen. Just give him a chance.
Now let me ask you this. That doesn't mean that President Trump is above reproach or above criticism on substantive issues in terms of, for example, if he doesn't accomplish something he said he would accomplish, then he's got to be held to a standard of achievement and conduct as well, right?
Okay, well, you hold him to that standard. But what you don't do is bash him, and the biased media don't get to call him out of his name and then take one thing and twist it and turn it into something else. You don't get to do that. I don't mind. Anybody can be critical. That's your right to do that as a journalist, as a reporter. But you don't get to bash him and try to influence the American people that this is not the guy that we chose. We knew who he was and what we was when we elected.
And another thing, give him the opportunity to do what he said he's going to do. When he starts to do something, Don't come in from the left and say, oh, no, and throw stones and throw this and throw that at him and say, no, this is not going to work, and then turn around and criticize him for it not getting done. Give him the opportunity to do what he say he is going to do and get out of the way.
Well,
Absolutely. I love it, Silk.
Okay, all right. Yeah, Diamond and Silk getting after one another. Let me ask you this then, though. What about the two members of the Trump administration, a senior advisor at HUD, Shermichael Singleton, and a member of the National Security Council, Craig Deere, who were both fired recently at HUD out from underneath Ben Carson, the secretary, for being critical of Trump? Should members of the federal government, should they be allowed to speak their minds on Trump without repercussions?
First of all, you do not work. If you work for the president, you don't get to go out and criticize the president. You let the press, if they want to do that, that's fine. But if you work for him, you cannot do that. And they should have been fired. Listen, President Trump needs people on his team that's for him. If you got a problem with our president, he have an open door policy. You go talk to him. You don't go out in the press running off at your mouth.
And in order to drain the swamp, you have to unclog the pipes.
That's right.
These people was part of the clogging of the pipes. If you're not for him, then you are against him, and you need to be gone.
That's right.
I like the extension of the drain the swamp metaphor.
I do, and I have to agree. I mean, I work for the Chicago Tribune. If I were out criticizing my parent company or my bosses, of course I would expect to lose my job.
Absolutely.
That's right. Why are you there?
Absolutely. You don't criticize the boss, baby. You got a problem, you go talk to the boss. But you don't get on TV. You don't get out in public and do that. They deserve to be where they're at today.
Or if you do, I mean, you have a right to exercise your First Amendment rights, and you also have a right to get fired for doing it. That's your choice.
You have a right, but then the boss have a right to fire you, too.
I wonder what you both think, having been part of the deplorables, that we're in mid to late February, and you're still seeing rallies of "Not My President." There doesn't seem to be any tamping down on the left. So, are you losing steam? Do you feel among the group of so-called deplorables?
No. We have deplorables everywhere. But what we need to say to these snowflakes, either they can get on the Trump train or get on the tracks and melt, because we are not going to continue to fight you to wait for you.
That's right.
Get on the Trump train. This man has an agenda where he wants to put America first. He wants to put Americans first. So it's not about being black or white, Republican or Democrat, gay or straight. It's about, if you are an American, you're going to be put first.
That's right, and we're going to let them do like fire, burn themselves out.
That's right.
All right, Diamond and Silk, this is why they were on stage, as I was saying, in
correcting
Melbourne,
the record.
Florida, with the Trump rally, and I'm sure they'll be on stage with President Trump at rallies to come. Diamond and Silk, always host of The Viewer's View, I should mention, on YouTube channel, The Viewer's View. Diamond and Silk, always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
And they joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Areas of dense fog today before 11 a.m., but that will be breaking up, become partly sunny, high near 62, almost record-breaking. And tonight, a chance of showers and thunderstorms with a low around 52. Let's get a check of traffic with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Kristen. We're seeing delays in northwest Indiana on the toll road eastbound. It is slow going. New road work in place in Porter County. Slow 94 to State Road 149 and westbound. We report Porter County line past State Road 49. The Edens is fine on this President's Day. The Kennedy, 24 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 22. The Eisenhower, 30 minutes. Thorndale to the post office, outbound. Delay-free 29. Stevenson, 39 minutes, 3:55 to the drive. Outbound clear. The Rhine, 18 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State, a little heavy at 290. The other tollways right now look good. I'm Jim Talamonte at the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
I'm Keith Peters in for Lou Dobbs. Wells Fargo's activity sees drop in customers. Wall Street takes a federal holiday today, and Southwest Airlines has labor troubles. Those stories next.
2017 is the year of Trump, and markets are rising to all-time highs. But economic uncertainty may be greater than after any election in our lifetime. And as retirement approaches, there's little time to recover losses. You need to hedge against uncertainty. That means transferring part of your retirement to physical gold and silver, stored where you can actually hold it in your hands and get it fast in any disaster. It's the perfect time to buy. Prices are low and expected to climb. Make Augusta Precious Metals your personal gold and silver provider. Augusta cares for your financial position and helps you make good decisions. And they're A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Get Augusta's free gold and silver IRA guide. What you learn could help you weather any economic storm. No obligation. Just call 855-222-6993. That's 855-222-6993. 855-222-6993. Trust Augusta. Protect your retirement today.
On Wall Street, U.S. stock and bond markets are closed today for the federal President's Day holiday. Home Depot, Walmart, and Macy's will report earnings when trading resumes Tuesday. When official Washington returns tomorrow, new EPA Administrator Scott Pruitt will report to work for the first time. Pruitt's nomination was confirmed on a 52-46 vote in the U.S. Senate. Wells Fargo is seeing fewer customers than it would like in the wake of its recent account scandal. The bank says it saw a 31% drop in new checking accounts last month and a 47% drop in credit card applications. Southwest Airlines charges its union leaders told mechanics to refuse overtime, which has driven up costs for the Dallas-based carrier. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight at 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. I'm Keith Peters for the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Daily stress is a big deal. Fact is, the terrible impact of stress is very deadly and shortens our lives. Stressed individuals attract diseases, just like blood in the water attracts sharks. Hi, this is Dr. David Kolbaba. I'm the show host of Health Quest Radio, the longest-running health news and science show in Chicago. And for over 33 years, we share practical concepts from a natural healthcare perspective to minimize the need for all those dangerous drugs and risky surgeries. Today, it's our dirt-cheap adrenal stress index test. No blood, just spit. You know, most people flunk on their first go-around, signaling adrenal gland distress. And then following our stress-busting strategies, most individuals pass their second test with flying colors. So if you can spare a little spit, call and purchase your first dirt-cheap adrenal stress index test, and we'll hold that same special low price for your follow-up test. Call 800-794-1855. You can't get any cheaper than dirt cheap. 800-794-1855. And be sure to tune into Health Quest Radio this Saturday morning at 11.
My name is David Hochberg, Vice President Lending at Pearl Mortgage and Reverse Mortgage Specialist. Reverse mortgages are outstanding for eliminating mortgage payments and providing borrowers with tax-free income. The Consumer Finance Protection Bureau recently fined AAG $400,000 for deceptive reverse mortgage ads. When choosing a reverse mortgage lender, you can either call into a call center promoted by highly paid, unlicensed actors like Tom Selleck, Pat Boone, and Henry Winkler, who have never originated a reverse mortgage, or you could call me, a licensed reverse mortgage expert who's actually originated reverse mortgages. The biggest difference between me, Tom, Pat, and Henry is they get paid to read teleprompters making reverse mortgage commercials, and I get compensated after your reverse mortgage closes. If you'd like information about reverse mortgages from a local reverse mortgage expert, give me a call at 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage, an equal housing lender, Illinois residential mortgage licensee 4358 and MLS 19186. These materials are not from HUD or FHA and were not approved by HUD or a government agency.
When I hear realtors boast about servicing a 3-county area or selling a home every 15 minutes, I think, what level of service could their clients possibly be getting? This is Chris Jacobs with Century 21 affiliated in Inverness, and my message is a little bit different. If being a realtor for more than 20 years has taught me one thing, it's that all real estate is local. While I can't say I'm the #1 realtor in the country, I can tell you that over the past 10 years, I've sold more homes in Inverness than anyone else. My team specializes in Inverness, Palatine, and Arlington Heights. We pride ourselves on providing our clients exceptional customer service and local market knowledge. So if you're selling your home or looking to purchase a property in our area, then call me, Chris Jacobs, at 847-401-4859. That's 847-401-4859. Or visit us at chrisjacobshomes.com.
Each office independently owned and operated, an equal housing opportunity.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I had gout in both my knees, and it's gone.
Well, I'm pretty stupid. I should have ordered it 15 years ago. It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life.
He had eczema on his hand, and it cracked for years. He did anything from doctor, every cream, everything. And 3 months on the veggies and fruit, it was gone.
They're just awesome. They keep asking me, what am I doing? I told them what I did with my cholesterol. I had the blood test, right? And it went down 100 points. 262, now it's 162. Everything is just perfect.
Balance of Nature is celebrating its 20th anniversary by providing you the best offer they've ever given. 2 free months of fruits and veggies and free shipping. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
I had a lot of credit card debt, and I couldn't pay my bills. I was feeling so bad. I got to a point where I needed some help. So I reached out and contacted Trinity.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-936-5348 to talk to a certified counselor.
They were able to take all of my different payments and put them all together.
Trinity will consolidate your accounts into one easy-to-manage monthly payment, put a stop to late fees and over-limit charges, reduce your interest, and possibly improve your credit score. You'll save thousands.
And they were actually able to work with my creditors. I've been able to pay off close to $15,000 in the last 18 months.
If your debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-936-5348.
My name is Stephanie, and I'm debt-free for keeps.
1-800-936-5348.
A high school band who will not use music from white composers. Can't wait for that recital. And race day seminar at New Trier High School, one of the alleged best high schools in the state, in the country, becomes a national story. We'll have both stories at 7:07. But now we check the news with Dave Stewart.
Good morning. It's 7 o'clock here on AM 560. The Answer. 46 degrees in Chicago at 7:30. No, I'm sorry. It's at 7:02. Partly cloudy sky today. Look for a high of 65. Among the stories we're going to be watching today, a violent weekend in Chicago, but there is a little bit of a ray of sunshine within those numbers. 3 people have been injured, including a firefighter, after a blaze in Chicago. But now Fox News on AM 560, The Answer.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lisa Brady. Vice President Mike Pence vowing to hold Russia accountable at an EU meeting in Brussels.
In the wake of Russian efforts to redraw international borders by force, we will continue to support efforts in Poland and the Baltic states through NATO's Enhanced Forward Presence initiative.
Also pledging a continued commitment to the European Union and to NATO, though mixing that reassurance with another call for NATO allies to live up to their commitments, covering more of the cost. The president's critics raising concern about a crackdown on illegal immigration, which the White House says isn't finalized yet. Fox Radio's Rachel Sutherland, live in Washington.
Lisa, the Homeland Security Department will reportedly roll out new guidelines aimed at aggressively detaining and deporting illegal immigrants, including hiring thousands of new enforcement agencies. At the same time, President Trump is expected to issue a revised travel ban on the same predominantly Muslim nations he targeted in his original order. New York Republican Congressman Peter King called the 7 nations the terror hotbeds of the world.
It's essential that we get better vetting, that we do put a pause on immigration from those countries.
The president's new order, which is expected to also face legal challenges, would reportedly exempt green card and visa holders and those with dual citizenship. Lisa?
Rachel, the San Antonio area recovering from a possible tornado overnight. No serious injuries reported, but as many as 150 buildings damaged, and severe weather isn't finished with Texas.
Stretching all the way down from the Mexican border, Brownsville, all the way up into Omaha. So the real highlight here, Austin into Dallas, that's going to be something we're continuing to watch for the rest of today.
Fox meteorologist Adam Klotz. This as Northern California braces for more possible flooding from continued heavy rain. L.A. drivers spending an average of 104 hours sitting in traffic last year. A transportation analytics firm, INRIX, puts Moscow number 2 for the worst traffic jams, New York number 3. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
On WIND Chicago, good morning. 46 degrees, 7:02. I'm David Stewart. Look for partly cloudy skies and a high of 65 today. It was a violent weekend in Chicago, but despite the warm weather, the trend this year in the city is slightly downward. 4 people were killed, about 24 wounded from Friday afternoon through Sunday. 2 of those wounded, 13-year-old boys. Last year, those 6 people were killed and 19 wounded in shootings over the same weekend. 3 people are injured, including a firefighter after a blaze on Chicago's far south side. Officials say that fire started last night in a single-family home near 101st and South LaSalle Streets. The firefighter and another victim are in good condition, a third person in fair to serious condition. Demonstrators were back protesting President Trump's agenda in downtown Chicago yesterday. Several hundred people marched from Trump Tower to Federal Plaza. Today's federal holiday will be marked by dozens of Not My President's Day rallies against Trump nationwide. Organizers say thousands of people expected to take to the streets in New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, and many other cities. An investigation is underway after Chicago police found a dead body in a West Side lagoon. Authorities say officers discovered the man in the water yesterday while searching for a missing person in Columbus Park. The Cook County Medical Examiner's Office identified the victim as Darius Hobbs. Illinois Republicans want to know why the state's new controller, Susana Mendoza, has a new SUV. GOP Chairman Tim Schneider yesterday questioned why Mendoza bought a $32,000 SUV when the state has so many unpaid bills. She says the new SUV is a replacement for an older car. In sports, Blackhawks over the Buffalo Sabres 5-1. News, a service of Staples. Are you filing your own taxes this year? Well, Staples helps you be accountable with everything you need for tax season for less, with storage boxes and filing supplies to software like QuickBooks and TurboTax. Right now, get up to $15 off when you buy TurboTax. In-store only, ends April the 1st. That's Staples. Make more happen. AM 560 News Time, 7:04. Time to check the climate of your business with aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. We'll take a look at traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Sean Hannity just wants judges to follow the laws of the land.
Rogue judges undermine our sovereignty because the law is clear. The president, A, has the authority. That's first and foremost. The judge in this case of the Western District of Washington State issues the temporary injunction stopping the president from executing the law. These laws were passed by Congress. What do you think separation of powers is all about?
The Sean Hannity Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
This is a life-changing message for anyone with sleep apnea who is on the go and tired of dragging around a big, bulky home CPAP device. Now there's finally a portable device that's as small as a soda can and weighs less than a pound. You can even add a battery that's as tiny as a deck of cards. It's the Transcend Mini CPAP, and if you're one of the first 100 callers, you can try Transcend risk-free for 10 days. So call now, 1-800-400-9121. Transcend is the world's first portable mini CPAP device. It gives you the freedom to sleep in total comfort anywhere you are. Our smallest and most advanced portable design ever, Transcend is so small and so light, you can fit it in your briefcase or purse to use anywhere you go. It's FAA compliant too, so you can even sleep comfortably while flying. To guarantee your 10-day in-home trial, you must be one of the first 100 callers to call minicpap.com now. 1-800-400-9121. Again, that's 1-800-400-9121.
The U.S. economy has been getting stronger, and home values have been increasing. This good economic news presents a unique financial opportunity for you. Hi, I'm Jay Farner, president of Quicken Loans. Many of our clients have been taking cash out of their homes, a strategy that might work for you. The smart move is to refinance your mortgage right now with Quicken Loans. The rate today on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 4.18%. APR 4.35%. Call Quicken Loans today at 800-QUICKEN to see how much we can lower your mortgage payment. For 7 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. And for the 3rd year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in the nation for mortgage servicing. Call 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
Visit jdpower.com for award information. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS ConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
At 7:07 from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center, here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, David. It's all clear on the Edens right now. The Kennedy inbound looks good, too. Outbound, there's a brief delay. Foster to Sayre, 22 minutes downtown to O'Hare. The Eisenhower, believe it or not, delay-free both directions. Inbound Stevenson, stop and go State to Lakeshore Drive due to long-term construction. But that's just a 3 or 4 minute delay. The outbound side is clear. Ryan, the 3-minute delay from Cermak into downtown. North on Tri-State heavy at 290. The other Illinois tollways are good. There are some roadwork delays on the Indiana Toll Road. The next round of long-term work kicking in. It's slow eastbound from 94 to State Road 149. Westbound from the Fort Porter County line past State Road 49. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
And now your forecast. Service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. And here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Patchy morning fog, otherwise a breezy day with wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour. A mix of clouds with a high 65. Occasional rain and a thunderstorm tonight. Again, wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour in the evening, diminishing after midnight. Low tonight, 52. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
At the lakefront, 39 degrees, 49 in Midway, 44 at O'Hare. Next news, 7:30. Get continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues now on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 on your mobile device. Now available on iHeartRadio. Online at iHeartRadio.com.
Good morning. Welcome to your Monday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
I'm here because I want to be among my friends and among the people.
Democracy as we know it, you have to have a free and many times adversarial press. And without it, I'm afraid that we would lose so much of our individual liberties over time. That's how dictators get started.
It should be taken with a grain of salt because John McCain's the guy that's advocated for war everywhere. He would bankrupt the nation. And actually, we're very lucky John McCain's not in charge.
The amount of drama and spin that you read about, and mostly in the Washington Daily gossip rags, is unbelievable stuff. And it just isn't true. And you read it every day, and you wonder what alternative universe they're reporting on.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning is Kristen McQuarrie, she of the Chicago Tribune editorial board. And Kristen, tonight in leafy Northfield, I think that's where the meeting is, New Trier High School District 203 has a board meeting, and it should be a spirited affair, which is an unusual thing on the North Shore, as the debate over this racial indoctrination seminar day advanced by the administrators and leftist indoctrinators masquerading as teachers at New Trier, that is going to be center stage tonight. And that has become a national story, thanks in no small part to us here at Chicago's Morning Answer, who've been on this story and covering the story like no one else. Peter Berkowitz, senior fellow at the Hoover Institute, Stanford, wrote in the Wall Street Journal over the weekend about this. What passes for education at many American public schools is too often closer to indoctrination. Consider the seminar day that New Trier High School in Winnetka is planning for February 28th. The title for the all-school seminar, Understanding Today's Struggle for Racial Civil Rights, is misleading. The seminar might accurately be entitled Inculcating a Progressive View of Social Justice. That, in my opinion, is even still a bit generous when you have modules in the day-long seminar that include Chicago police are urban terrorists committing genocide. You have a rapper who's going to provide a dissertation on blackonomics in between, profane screeds, if his lyrics are any indication. You also have courses, as was described by Peter Berkowitz, how long you can survive on minimum wage, which touches on race at best tangentially. Also, one person, one vote, can the Voting Rights Act be saved, which starts from the absurd premise that the Voting Rights Act is at risk of being repealed. Berkowitz goes on to write, instead of teaching, the school's aim seems to be hammering home to students that racism plagues America and will persist until white people admit their unjust privilege, renounce their unearned power, and make amends for the entrenched opposition from which they continue to profit handsomely. And credit goes to a parents group that once they got wind of the composition of this seminar, which is in its second year, actually stood up and said, no, You want to have a mandatory seminar? This is mandatory, by the way, mandatory for students. You want to have a seminar on civil rights and race relations in America? Fine, no problem. I have no problem with that. But it's got to be broader intellectually than just this kind of left-wing ideological perspective. How about including accomplished authors and academics like Shelby Steele, journalists like Jason Riley from the Wall Street Journal, economists like Walter Williams from George Mason, advocates of entrepreneurship like Bob Woodson from the Neighborhood Justice Center, neighborhood Enterprise Center, excuse me. Those voices should also be provided a platform to provide their perspective, so students have a broad range of perspectives on the range of issues that drive our how well people of different races get along, I suppose. In addition to understanding the history, the legal remedies, the challenges that we still face, all of that. And that was rejected by the school board. And so now you have this showdown tonight.
And but the school district has not made any effort to change the makeup of the seminars. Is that correct?
Correct. They've rejected it out of hand. In fact, the Berkowitz piece touches on this. The New Trier, a group of New Trier graduates published an open letter to explain why the proposals to expand the number of individuals presenting to students is unreasonable and immoral. And they quote from King's letter from a Birmingham jail. Berkowitz says, the implicit message is that New Trier parents are comparable to the white moderate King reproaches for preferring order to justice. And he goes on, just in conclusion, this Berkowitz piece, which is very good in the Wall Street Journal. The seminar day presupposes that the pervasiveness and potency of racism in America are facts beyond dispute, rather than hypotheses to be critically examined. That's why the letter writers, I just mentioned, dismiss the parents' desire for a multiplicity of views as an effort to distract the conversation. This is the typical left's position, the leftist position. The debate's over.
Well, and it's also just interesting. I don't know how much you've gotten into the seminars, but I mean, microaggressions, stereotypes in Disney. I mean, it really just sort of, we're going to take a look at the last 30 years and not address progress that we've made in some of these areas. And also just the underlying issue. Okay, so they have the seminar day. They do it every year. Can you imagine if a public school took the opposite position and tried to find conservative activists and conservative icons and even black conservatives? They do exist, by the way.
Well, they were proposed for the seminar.
Well, right. But if the basis of the seminar came from the other side completely, it would be it would be an outrage. And
there would be conservative indoctrination.
Oh, sure. Oh, there would be marches. There would be all kinds of chaos. The fact that it didn't even cross their minds, perhaps, to offer a different perspective. And when you're talking about policy issues like minimum wage, there's a lot of research and data to maybe corroborate in some cases, but also contradict what they might be telling or teaching the students. So I just think from a basic point of view, this is a public school. And it's a little mind-blowing that there wasn't, these are teachers, it's a little mind-blowing that I think this all took them by surprise, that parents would even be upset.
That's well, right, they're unused to being challenged. Would you send your children to this race seminar day at New Trier if your children were in New Trier High School District? And by the way, this is coming to a district near you, which I'll get to in a second. But would you send your kids? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Linda Yonke, who's the superintendent of New Trier, $420,000 a year base salary.
Wait.
420 grand.
That's the base salary. Which I'm sure her contract includes other perks, a car, maybe a housing allowance.
Well, I think pension and benefits not included, I should say.
Okay.
420 grand. The top 15 administrators at New Trier, 200 to, essentially rounded numbers, 200 to 420 grand.
Okay.
15 administrators, one high school.
All right. Okay. I don't want to hear New Trier property taxpayers complaining about their property tax
Yeah,
bills. Well,
right.
I don't want to go on a segue, but it does drive me nuts when people are not paying attention to how their own school districts are spending money, and then they're like flabbergasted at their property tax.
And here's the disdain that these educrats have for families and for being challenged because they're so unused to it, because it's so easy for them to capture the school board. It's so easy for them to intimidate and bully people into silence. The response to the proposals from the parents group that suggested broadening the contributors to this day, these rich white people that in their notions of race relations. Linda Yonke, dismissing rich white people as if she ain't one. This is the complete lack of self-awareness, the complete moral certitude about their goodness, which, again, also indicative of the leftist posture, regardless of the topic. Now, New Trier High School District 2013 paid $88,614 to a consultancy to teach its staff. So here you go. Train the trainer. Let's get the staff indoctrinated so they can turn around and indoctrinate the kids. You see how this works? Follow this. District 203 paid $88,614 to a consultancy to teach its staff why whiteness causes black and Hispanic students to score lower on standardized tests. The Pacific Educational Group received taxpayer dollars as part of this is from the NorthCookNews.com paper I co-founded, which also has been provided the best coverage on this topic, consistently peeling back the layers of the indoctrination at New Trier, culminating with this seminar day. Pacific Educational Group, taxpayer dollars received from District 203's professional development budget to conduct diversity training, hold seminars and summits, so forth. One of them, New Trier teacher Pat Savage Williams, who's also the president of Evanston Township High School Board, is presented at a recent event in Austin, Texas. She actively promotes the ideas espoused by the founder of the Pacific Educational Group. His name is Glenn Singleton. Glenn Singleton and Ms. Savage Williams preach that white teachers stop black and Hispanic students from achieving because they fail to understand their cultures. Singleton, in his book, wrote, quote, "It is our belief that the most devastating factor contributing to the lower achievement of students of color is institutionalized racism. We will shine the light on racial dominance to uncover how whiteness challenges the performance of students of color while shaping and reinforcing the racial perspective of white children. For example, according to Singleton and Pacific Educational Group, white talk, quote unquote, is, quote, verbal, impersonal, intellectual, and task-oriented versus the, quote, nonverbal, personal, emotional, process-oriented, unquote, style of blacks and Hispanics. You want to talk about the bigotry of low expectations. You want to talk about racism. Black and Hispanic children can't deal with intellectual, task-oriented talk. Anger, guilt, and shame are just a few of the emotions Singleton expects whites to experience as they move toward a greater understanding of whiteness. By the way, New Trier High School, not the only high school that has spent your money to bring these people in, to indoctrinate the staff, to turn around and indoctrinate the kids. Highland Park High School, Deerfield, Evanston, Oak Park, River Forest also spend tax dollars with Pacific Educational Group.
I would add that I do think these districts are trying to come from a good place when they put these seminars together, but it's just so indicative of the hypocrisy of intolerance of others' views and the little sheltered bubble that they live in, that they wouldn't even grasp that this might be a little too one-sided for a public school to be taking on.
What about this? I mean, Linda Yonke, so worried about white privilege, again, adopt the Gandhi position of being the change you wish to see in the world. Liquidate your assets, or half your assets. Give them to a family of color that you find to be underprivileged. Why not? Lead the way. Donate half your salary, $420,000.
Or or just remember.
If you're so offended by white privilege, do something about it in addition to indoctrinating students. I mean, indoctrinating students or attempting to, that's doing something about it.
Well, you know what would be probably more effective if they're rather than having them go through 8 hours of mind-numbing, repetitive, you say indoctrination. Remember 6 or 7 years ago when James Meeks had a problem with CPS and school funding, and so he wanted to bus kids to New Trier, and he was able to do that to a point. The relationships all kind of fell apart. It was a lot of talk. We're going to work together. We're going to have an exchange program where our students get to see what other kids go through. Had that actually occurred, that would really be an eye-opening experience. I saw something like that unfold in the south suburbs where, down 159th Street between Orland Park and Harvey, you have students just miles apart with very different educational environments. And you don't have to tell them anything. You just set up an exchange program where they can see how the resources that some kids have and the resources that some kids don't, if that's the point. I don't know.
Yeah, well, maybe it's not the point. I mean, if it was the point, Robert Blackwell, who we spoke with last week, who's a African-American parent of a New Trier student, a girl with autism at New Trier, and he appreciates the services that New Trier has provided for his daughter, the educational experience she's had, generally speaking. But he's a successful entrepreneur. And he says, look, if you want to have a day devoted to socialism, just call it that, because that's what this is. But if you want to hear from somebody that's got experience and has taken a path maybe different than just the path of being a race hustler, which is what these groups and most of these individuals presenting are, race hustling for political power and frankly, not bad compensation too, then maybe Robert Blackwell, he didn't say this, I said this, should be part of the discussion. He's somebody who actually experienced, he grew up in Lombard. He said he was the first black family in Lombard. He actually experienced racism like somebody firebombing his house racism, real racism. So the point is, maybe he's somebody that could tell you, because he lived through it, that today is not 1963 Selma. I know you need it to be for your phony baloney consultancies and jobs. I know you need it to be because that's your political posture, and that whips the left into a frenzy, and this is how you derive some stature in our society. But it's not. That's not to say that racism doesn't exist. It's not to say that there aren't challenges in race relations. But these people that are driving this seminar are the instigators of the challenges. They're not providing remedies.
So tell us a little bit about what is the political leanings, the makeup of the New Trier district? Is it more Republican leaning, conservative leaning, liberal leaning?
It's left. It's left, and it's gone left for a long time. And the 15 administrators I mentioned that make $200 to $420 grand, all but one of them are dyed-in-the-wool Democrats. 98% of donations from New Trier 203 employees went to Democrats. It's like a mini college campus.
So are the parent groups that are speaking out against this, are they clearly in the super minority in voicing their opinion, or is it?
It's hard to say. I guess we'll find out in part tonight. But here's the thing about this. Number one, with the New Trier parents group that has stood up, and these individual parents who've stood up, and op-ed writers who've weighed in, as Mona Charen, Peter Berkowitz, local coverage here. What they're indicating to you in other school districts is you don't have to just sit back and take it. You're not powerless. Stop rationalizing your inactivity, parents, when you know something wrong is happening in your local school district. Because whatever happens, whether this seminar day goes forward on the 28th or not, this parents group has put the school board and the school district on notice. Do you think it's going to be the same next year that it was this year? I don't think so. I don't think so. It's amazing what happens when you have a small group of people stand up and say, no, it's not going to go down that way. I'm too concerned about my child's education to let it go down this way. It's not going to. And this is black and white coming together to oppose what the white left at New Trier is trying to do. And so if it can be done there, then it can be done everywhere. No cop-outs accepted. Ari in Des Plaines, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, guys. Good morning. Look, I want to comment on this because I had to go through one of these seminars in college. And I wanted to comment that when I went through it, it reminded me a lot of Eastern Europe, where my family's from. Because what the communist regime used to do, they used to always have a racial scapegoat. Usually it was the Jews, but in Yugoslavia they would pit Serb against Croat, Croat against Bosniak. And this is what the leftist people, they do world over. So here in America we have different skin colors, that's what they do. Most people, on an individual level, they get along well. If you observe people interpersonally,
Yes.
but this is what the leftists have to do. Because why? You create tension, you create anger, you take away personal accountability. That's where the government steps in.
Thanks for
the government becomes everything. The father, the facilitator, everything.
Thanks for the call, Ari. That's exactly it. That is nicely summed up. That's exactly it. By the way, where does this end? Minnesota High School, this is an NPR report. Minnesota High School's school band has decided not to use music from white composers. Okay. Beethoven, Mozart, Brahms, you're out. Sorry. This high school, Spring Lake Park High School in Minnesota, said the more you practice talking about race and culture and ethnicity, the more comfortable you are, and we have a platform in ninth, the narrative of these ongoing conversation among high school students to advance neo-Marxist racial narratives. Yolanda Williams, who's a professor of Afro-American and African Studies at the University of Minnesota, said composers of color and women are somehow broadly discriminated against in the field of big band composition. Of course, no evidence was presented, but this is the predicate for the decision just to get rid of all white composers.
It's actually not even true. I mean, so many bands, and especially marching bands now, are incorporating Beyonce and Michael Jackson and Kanye. And I mean, the unnecessary force of these kinds of decisions that, we're not going to entertain any white composers. Well, I'm really sorry that your band, now your students don't get to hear John Williams or play Star Wars music or enjoy David Foster or some of these other really white composers who have collaborated with black musicians and have now incorporated this into high school marching bands and orchestras. It's
right. Not to mention the classics. And I'm happy to Florence Price, her piano concerto in Iman, George Walker, the first African-American to win a Pulitzer for music. I'm happy to include them. That's why I like going to the Lyric Opera and the CSO. But this idea you're just going to eliminate people who have had produced such profound work and are such profound talents because of their skin color, that's as ignorant as precluding people because of their skin color, isn't it? But that's lost on the left.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Check this out. Once again, MyPillow sweetened the deal. In addition to the Mike Lindell 4-pack special with 40% off 2 premium MyPillows plus 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows, you also get free shipping. In fact, you'll get free shipping off any order over $100. Remember, Mike Lindell invented MyPillow for everybody with pillow-related sleep issues. You can move the patented fill to give you the exact support you need regardless of sleep position. You'll get into deep sleep faster and stay there longer. No waking up to a stiff neck or headache. They're manufactured in the U.S. and have a 10-year warranty. It's washable and dryable with a 60-day money-back guarantee. Again, for a limited time, you'll receive Mike Lindell's 4-pack special with 40% off plus free shipping. Call 1-800-489-0201 and be sure to use the promo code Amy to receive this unreal deal. If you've been putting off purchasing a MyPillow, it's time to finally start getting a great night's sleep. I do. Go to MyPillow.com or call 1-800-489-0201 and use the promo code Amy.
Your company's IT partner should be more than just a place you call when you're having computer problems. Today, IT is beyond just hardware and software. IT is about a relationship between technology and the people who work with it, and that's where Turnkey IT is different. They're an IT company and a people company. They help people use IT better. People need help from computers and servers to cloud-based systems, cybersecurity, and advanced phone systems. People also need help finding out what's out there and how to implement exactly what they need, all with the support of an experienced team that resolves issues quickly. People remember the good experiences they receive when working with Turnkey IT. Shouldn't your business receive the same white glove treatment? See what other AM 560 listeners already know about Turnkey IT. Local, reputable, compassionate, experienced. It's easy. Visit turnkey.pro today. Turnkey IT just does IT better. Visit turnkey.pro now. And also, we'd like to thank Edmund Trasha for listening to AM 560 The Answer. Edmund Trasha, thanks for making Chicago's Morning Answer and AM 560 part of your day. Coming up, we'll move from the high school campus to the college campus, but now we check the headlines with Dave Stewart.
Thank you, Dan. Thanks, Kristen. Good morning. 44 degrees in Chicago, 732 on AM 560, The Answer. More than 14,000 Facebook users expected to turn out today for a Not My President's Day rally in Manhattan outside the Trump Hotel. Yesterday, more than 1,000 people, including music mogul Russell Simmons, gathered in Times Square to oppose the president's travel ban.
We're here to make a change, to promote unity, to recognize our beautiful brothers and sisters of the Muslim faith.
A rally is also expected today in Chicago. Reince Priebus denying any collusion between the Russians and Donald Trump's 2016 presidential campaign.
They have made it very clear that that story in the New York Times is complete garbage. And quite frankly, they used different words than that.
The White House chief of staff told Fox News Sunday intelligence officials claimed that not only was the collusion story grossly overstated, as he said it was complete garbage, unquote. Cook County prosecutors are charging a Chicago woman with starving her 2-month-old son to death 2 years ago, allowing the baby to become emaciated so much that medical personnel could make out facial bones and see individual ribs. Prosecutors say Sean Quayle Minnis, now 22, gave birth to a healthy full-term baby on September 13, 2014. But by November, when the boy was found unresponsive, he weighed just 4 pounds and 13 ounces. Immigration agents in Atlanta have arrested a man who escaped from an Illinois prison in 2003 while serving an 8-year sentence on a drug charge. Jorge Soberanes Romualdo was taken into custody Friday as part of an immigration enforcement that targeted criminals. In sports, Blackhawks over the Sabres 5-1. News, a service of Connect Better.
When you connect better, everything comes together. Join the more than 3 million people who use GoToMeeting every month to connect with their team. Try it free at GoToMeeting.com. That's GoToMeeting.com.
AM 560 News Time, 7:34. Traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
There's bound to be a good reason when a local startup company becomes an industry leader in only 5 years. Chicago Cut Concrete Cutting achieved this success by offering highly skilled professional services at highly competitive prices. Business owners, project managers, field supervisors, and procurement managers from many of Chicagoland's top companies depend on Chicago Cut Concrete Cutting. They specialize in industrial, heavy highway, and commercial projects requiring concrete cutting, core drilling, as well as wall, slab, chain, wire, and ring sawing. Chicago Cut Concrete Cutting will complete your project on time and on budget. Demolition and sealing services such as silicone and hot tar are also available. For an estimate or questions about your project needs, call Chicago Cut Concrete Cutting, the cutting edge in concrete cutting today at 773-282-2CUT. That's 773-282-2288. Or visit ChicagoCutConcreteCutting.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that this product works. I even recommended it to my mother, and she's been taking it, and she's 89 years old.
Makes me feel good. It really does. I could feel a change in my well-being, let's put it that way.
So far, it has helped my irritable bowel. So I'm just praying that it just keeps going, because you don't know, this was a dreadful thing. Dreadful.
Balance of Nature is celebrating its 20th anniversary by providing you the best offer they've ever given. 2 free months of fruits and veggies and free shipping. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
Balance of Nature, you guys are awesome. God bless you.
Hi, this is Shalom Klein of Get Down to Business, the show for small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship, powered by Tandem HR.
According to the Department of Labor, 60% of employers said their employees' health habits were their biggest concern when it comes to managing rising healthcare costs. Many companies today are faced with rising healthcare expenses that comprise their operating budgets. Fortunately, innovative workplace wellness programs exist to help control spiraling healthcare costs. Health risk assessments, one-on-one wellness coaching, and a wide range of online and mobile resources assist employees in living a more healthy lifestyle, significantly reducing illness, absences, medical claims, and accidents. More information on workplace wellness can be found at WSEAP.com. That's WSEAP.com.
For more tips, advice, and stories of entrepreneurial successes, listen to Get Down to Business with Shalom Klein, heard Sunday afternoons at 6. Your Business Minute of the Day is powered by Tandem HR.
It's Galaxy's free sale. Free installation, free design, and free financing.
773-783-8300. Call Galaxy.
Mike Rowe here for 1 hour. Today, Chuck is jogging in place to make a point about energy efficiency.
I thought I was training for a marathon.
He's been at it now for...
3 minutes.
And already he's wearing out.
I'm not.
Your heating and air conditioning systems are a lot like Chuck.
Warm yet somehow cool.
Wheezing, wasting energy, and probably headed for replacement.
You're talking about the air systems, right?
Sure, pal. Sure. Call 1 hour before it's too late.
Can you do the disclaimer for me?
Each independent franchise is licensed in its respective state or county.
Thanks.
Are you taking Viagra for ED? Now you can get Sildenafil, the active ingredient in Viagra, and generic 20 milligrams for $2 per tablet. That's a savings of $40 per dose. Marley Drug is a North Carolina pharmacy delivering generic Sildenafil to your door. For information on Sildenafil, go to marleygenerics.com or call us at 800-452-1760. That's 1-800-452-1760.
It's 7:38 from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, David. In Antioch, there's a grass fire. 173 at Circle, right at the south end of Channel Lake. 173 is open. Edens is fine. Kennedy inbound clear. Outbound, 4 minutes worth of delays. Montrose to Sayre. Eisenhower all good. Stevenson, about a 3 or 4 minute delay from past the Rhine to Lakeshore Drive. The Rhine, a 3 minute delay entering downtown. Traffic is a service of Liberty Mutual. From weather to traffic and everything in between, you have enough things to worry about every day. Insurance shouldn't be one of them. You can leave worry behind when Liberty stands with you. Liberty Mutual Insurance. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
And now your forecast, a service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Variable cloudiness, high 65 today, cloudy and mild tonight. Occasional rain, maybe a thunderstorm, low 52. Morning clouds tomorrow, then afternoon sunshine, a high of 66. Right now, 44 degrees at O'Hare. Next news, 8 o'clock. Now more of Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by 1 Hour, together with Mike Rowe, encouraging you to choose licensed technicians to service your home. Call 1 Hour today, 855-1-HOUR.
If you're talking about it, I'll be talking about it. Dennis Prager here. Join me this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan. And in for Amy is Kristen McQuarrie of Chicago Tribune editorial board. And we're just talking about that new Trier Race Day seminar, the school board meeting tonight at 6:30. For those up on the North Shore that may want to attend and weigh in, or at least show solidarity for people that are trying to offer intellectual diversity. That's a forum, too, at New Trier High School. And I got to tell you, just on this topic, and we're going to get to our campus watch, college update, too. It's amazing to me how these high school districts, grade school districts, become like high school for the adults. I don't want to stand up and say anything because I'll lose a friend. Well, maybe that person's not a friend. I want to be in the right cliques at this school district or that school district. At the expense of your children's education, you do. At the expense of your home value, as we've talked about property taxes over the last several weeks, you do. Is that the price you're willing to pay to be a coward? It's fascinating to me how. I mean, I understand history is always changed by the committed few for good or for bad. Totally understand. It's never going to be a 50% plus one proposition. But the people that have nothing to fear, right? They're independent, they're successful, they're financially independent. There's nothing that someone can do to them other than call them a name.
Or just it being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's
and
but if you think groupthink only permeates teenagers, you'd be wrong.
Oh, there's no question. There's no question. I mean, the General Assembly is high school for adults.
Sure.
But these school districts are too. I don't want to say anything because I'm not going to be invited to the block party or the cocktail party. It's pathetic to me. It's indefensible. It is indefensible to be silent in the face of evil. And when you talk about indoctrinating kids to make distinctions in life based on skin color, to me, you're talking about evil.
And it's especially uncomfortable because this is a race-related topic, and even though we are taught to move beyond race, or that's what we were supposed to be taught, I'm sure there is a really large silent group of parents who are not brave enough to come out because they don't want to look like racists.
That's right. That because somebody may call them a racist. Well, you tell me who is purveying counting by race? Who is purveying these people are foreclosed because they're one race, and these people are the new favored because they're another race, just reversing previous institutional racism to remedy racism? We had institutional racism now, and certain groups were disfavored under those institutional rules. Now we should go all the way on the other side and employ the same institutional racism, but just change who's favored and who isn't. You want this to be a turnstile, endlessly spinning with one group favored over the other group?
I mean, it works for the left. The identity politics like this is extremely successful in advancing their agenda and keeping Democrats in power. And you're just seeing it now broken down, I think, at a high school seminar level.
Yeah, it can never come to my neighborhood, and it's here because you weren't paying attention and because you didn't think you had to worry about it until it showed up at your doorstep. Well, I'm going to provide a positive example of a young person since we obsess and focus so much. I mean, we have to on the enemies of academic freedom and intellectual thought and a colorblind society, at least when it comes to, essentially what I say, colorblind society, I mean a meritocracy. That's what I mean. This kid at Palatine High School, Aiden Bush is his name. He won a $2,500 prize that was sponsored by the VFW, a scholarship program. He was sponsored by the VFW Post 1337 in Mount Prospect, Amy's hometown. And it was essentially reflecting on the sacrifice of veterans. Aiden Bush, who is a senior at Palatine High School, wrote in the pertinent part here, being American is unique in that each and every one of us is standing on ground stained with the blood of patriots. Many of us do not realize that our weekly trip to the grocery store is possible only because those who came before us and fight for us have died to make it possible. Everyday opportunities abound, like running ahead to hold the door for a young mother, pushing a stroller, or helping an elderly neighbor take out the trash, removing my hat, placing my hand on my heart, and standing tall when the national anthem is played. By putting others first, I am honoring what already has been done for me. I can honor these sacrifices in a very practical way by the way I conduct myself on a daily basis. Aiden Bush writes, it's my responsibility to act as if I'm walking on hallowed ground, every step paid for by the blood of Americans. It is the veterans and those who've served our country in life and death who deserve our undying gratitude and attention. My responsibility is to remember those few, the white, black, Latino, Asian, male, female, and American few who gave up their liberty, their peace, to give me mine. If we forget the sacrifice of these few, we will become an ungrateful nation incapable of appreciating the true value of our liberty, because after all, it was not purchased, but paid for. That's pretty thoughtful, young man.
Mm-hmm.
So there's, we obsess and focus on some of the negative because you have to deal with the barbarians at the gate, but I don't want to discount the notion that there are a lot of smart, well-adjusted, thoughtful, talented young people matriculating through our high schools and onto our colleges and through our colleges and onto the real world as well. And so we should highlight those that are getting it right, like this young man, Aiden Bush from Palatine
All right.
High School. All right? Okay.
There you go.
All right, now let's get back to the bad news. That's enough of that. So, College Campus Watch. Oh, gosh, where to start? Jesse Waters, he's got that Jesse's World show on Fox. But this is a good story. St. Joseph's University professor David Perry, he's the chairman of the Communications Studies Department. Mm-hmm. Journalists come through that department.
I don't think I'm going to like this story very much.
Jesse Waters, thanks to some help from some thanks to the help of some undergrads at St. Joe's in Philadelphia. This came to his attention, a particularly interesting rant from the good professor, David Perry, at St. Joe's to his students about Trump.
I am not sympathetic to the white voters who made over $50,000 a year and said that we are going to vote for Trump. Those people I am not sympathetic to, and I do not believe that you have to open your heart to them. If you are a person of color in this room, if you are a woman in this room, you do not have to open your heart to them.
There you go. If you're a person of color or a woman, you don't have to open your heart to any white person who makes more than $50,000. Now, he did say white person. So what about if you're a woman who makes over $50,000?
I mean, what the heck is he talking about? What is he saying? And he goes on to say that that people are going to die because of the election.
People are going to die because of what happened. And if we don't start that, we cannot have a conversation. People's lives are on the line now, and it's time we got real about that.
Yeah, it's time to get real at St. Joe's, this private university. So that's it. That's Professor Perry. And
Unhinged.
Communications Studies Department chairperson at St. Joe's. Now, Jesse Waters descended on the campus there and caught up with Professor Perry on campus. Wanted to ask him for additional comment on what he said in class to extend his remarks. And here's how Professor Perry reacted.
You said that students shouldn't open their hearts to white Trump supporters? What kind of thing is that to say?
Waters followed him around for about 90 seconds before he escaped to a campus building, but he essentially repeated what Professor Perry had said and asked him for comment, and no comment was forthcoming. It's interesting how he can be a big talker in front of a classroom full of undergrads, but when confronted to explain himself on camera, he scurries into a campus building away from prying eyes and ears. Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Catholic school, correct? What is it? St. Joseph's University.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right. He was careful, though, in his the professor to not come right out and say anything that could be construed as, like we're talking about, opposite racist view. Don't open your hearts to them. I am not sympathetic to. If you are a person of color, if you are a woman, you don't have to open your hearts to them. Wow, that's a really diverse Christian and welcoming view right there.
Isolated incident, right? You know, one comm studies department chair. Not exactly. Orange Coast College, out in Santa Monica, human sexuality instructor Olga Perez Stable Cox. Oof. Exhausting. Characterized Trump's election as an act of terrorism and called the president a white supremacist during one of her classes. Caleb O'Neill, who's an art student there, recorded and posted them to Facebook. And you know what happened then. Professor Cox was disciplined after it was unearthed what she said, right? No. Caleb O'Neill was disciplined, suspended from classes, ordered to write both a letter of apology to Cox and a three-page explanation of the incident to the school.
It basically went in from this is what's like she was going to talk about the election, but then she went in and said the administration, some of my colleagues believe in this, and then she started calling everyone white. Well, basically called Trump a white supremacist, and went on that. And then I pulled my phone out because I was honestly scared that I would have repercussions with my grades.
He was worried about repercussions with his grades because he was known as a Trump supporter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's astonishing that this continues to happen. The Orange County Register, the largest newspaper, has come to his rescue, hopefully, with a few strong editorials defending his right to free speech and just the hypocrisy of the fact that he was punished, not the instructor, the student, right?
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Beep, beep. It's bikini weather. High near 62, everybody. Not Dan. No thongs
My bikini
today.
out.
No thongs. Areas of dense fog, it should be lifting a little bit around 11 a.m. Otherwise, partly sunny. Tonight, a chance of showers and thunderstorms with a low around 52. Let's get a check of traffic with Jim Talamonte.
Well, thanks, Kristen. Maybe some of that rain will douse a grass fire that's happening right now in Antioch. 173 at Circle, right at the south end of Channel Lake. 173 is open through that. Traffic volume is light. It's being a holiday for many. No delays to report on the Edens. The Kennedy inbound looks good. A little heavy on the Ohio feeder, but the main lanes of the Kennedy are fine. Outbound, there's a 5-minute delay, Montrose to Sayre. The Eisenhower somehow is delay-free in both directions. Inbound Stevenson, stop and go from past the Rhine to Lakeshore Drive. That's a 4 or 5-minute delay. Clear outbound. The Rhine has a 3-minute delay from Canalport into downtown. Northbound Tri-State a little heavy at 290. The Indiana Toll Road has a new round of construction underway, and it's slow in the Porter County area. Eastbound 94 to State Road 149, and westbound the Porter-LaPorte County line to past State Road 49. Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Text from 815 about this whole speaking out. I don't want to speak out because I don't want the teachers to retaliate against my kid. Is that what you're teaching your kid? Don't speak out? If the teachers retaliate, then you continue speaking out. Not a good excuse. I don't buy it. Upstream-ideas.com is the website where you can get premium content that complements what we do here on this show. 60-second commentaries this week, mine on the Day Without Immigrants, long-form interviews in our Against the Current series, Dollars and Cents, podcasts of our Illinois Rising program, which covers Illinois politics and policy. Follow the Logic, Man on the Street interviews this week. Fascism versus socialism. Does the left understand the difference? Is there a difference? It's all at upstream-ideas.com.
Fruits and vegetables are one of the very best, if not the best way to help protect your body from many of the lifestyle diseases plaguing our nation. Eating over 10 servings of fruits and vegetables daily will help build your immune system to over 720% and is the single most important thing you can do for your health, along with diet and exercise. Why are fruits and vegetables such a powerful health consideration? Because they contain tens of thousands of phytonutrients prepared especially by Mother Nature to nourish our body on a cellular level. Dr. Howard successfully formulated and perfected a mix of 31 different fruits and vegetables and scientifically removed the water and air through a proprietary cold vacuum system, reducing them into a super powder which maintains 99.9% of its nutrient value. Then packaging them into vegetarian capsules ready for consumption. Here's Dr. Howard.
What does good nutrition not benefit? Can you name anything that good nutrition will not help? It's not a cure-all. The scope of what it can help is so wide because our bodies are really fabulous, amazing chemical laboratories. Everything that functions in your system is a chemical response. Keeping that chemistry in balance and keeping the cells communicating with each other the very best possible way is absolutely the best way to reduce your risk of disease and also help your body help itself even fighting most of these diseases.
Balance of Nature is celebrating its 20th anniversary by providing you the best offer they've ever given. 2 free months of fruits and veggies and free shipping. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
Less than 1 month. That's all the time left for you to book your trip to join us and Joe Walsh in Punta Cana this spring. So stop procrastinating and book that trip today. We'll be staying at the Secrets Cap Cana Resort and Spa in Punta Cana. It's a brand new resort with 5 gourmet restaurants and 7 bars, which we hope is enough for me. The bars, not the restaurants. There's also a 24-hour-a-day room service when you want to order a cheeseburger at midnight after a long day of imbibing at the pool. So whether you want to sit by the pool and enjoy a cold drink and smoke a cigar or hit the beach and enjoy a little beach volleyball, there's something for everyone. Get more information and book your trip by visiting 560theanswer.com, keyword passport. Again, that's 560theanswer.com/passport. But hurry, time is running out to secure this exclusive price from Apple Vacations.
Did you know that a dirty CPAP system can make you sick? If you knew what could be growing in your mask and hose, you might not sleep so well. But now, SoClean.com has released the world's first and only automated CPAP cleaner and sanitizer. It kills 99.9% of all CPAP germs, and it's completely hands-free. For a limited time, you can try SoClean risk-free for 30 days. Just call 1-800-400-0542.
SoClean changed the CPAP experience for the better. My health has improved. It's simple to use, and I'm not worried about infections.
SoClean destroys CPAP bacteria, viruses, and germs, and it eliminates the daily hassle of washing your system by hand. There's no water, chemicals, or disassembly. Just pop in your mask, close the lid, and presto, your CPAP system is clean and fresh in minutes. Call SoClean.com to try it risk-free at home for 30 days. This is a limited-time offer, only available by calling 1-800-400-0542. That's 1-800-400-0542.
When I hear realtors boast about servicing a 3-county area or selling a home every 15 minutes, I think, what level of service could their clients possibly be getting? This is Chris Jacobs with Century 21 affiliated in Inverness, and my message is a little bit different. If being a realtor for more than 20 years has taught me one thing, it's that all real estate is local. While I can't say I'm the #1 realtor in the country, I can tell you that over the past 10 years, I've sold more homes in Inverness than anyone else. My team specializes in Inverness, Palatine, and Arlington Heights. We pride ourselves on providing our clients exceptional customer service and local market knowledge. So if you're selling your home or looking to purchase a property in our area, then call me, Chris Jacobs, at 847-401-4859. That's 847-401-4859. Or visit us at chrisjacobshomes.com.
Each office independently owned and operated, an equal housing opportunity.
Liberty Mutual Insurance presents a story about pickles.
It's 2 a.m. and your pregnant wife needs pickles. So you pick up some green happiness, but hit a parked car. Great, something else to worry about. Luckily, Liberty Mutual Insurance has 24/7 claims assistance, so you can take care of your claim right away. Problem solved. Now, if only you bought the right pickles.
Visit a local office or call 844-8-LIBERTY. You can leave worry behind when Liberty stands with you. Liberty Mutual Insurance. Coverage is underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company.
Napa know-how.
When you grab a pair of Bosch Evolution Beam wiper blades, now $10 off at Napa, you'll have the confidence to tell Mother Nature to bring it. Bring the rain, snow, sleet, the almighty, all-powerful El Nino, and even more rain. Because with Bosch Evolution wiper blades, now $10 off when you buy a pair, you'll show the weather who's really the boss. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating Napa Auto Parts stores. Offer expires 2/28/17.
Is Trump having a dalliance with dictatorship and remembering Michael Novak and Norma McCorvey? That's at 8:08. But now we check the headlines with Dave Stewart, excuse me.
That's okay.
That's a mashup of Mike Scott and Dave Stewart.
Thank you. It's 44 degrees in Chicago, coming up on 8 o'clock right now. It's going to be a partly cloudy day with a high of 65. Among the stories we're watching, it's a federal holiday, but there'll be dozens of Not My President's Day rallies against Donald Trump across the country. Chicago fire officials say a man in his 20s is dead after a house fire earlier today in the Albany Park neighborhood, and police are investigating after police found a dead body in the Columbus Park Lagoon. But right now, an update on Fox News on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lisa Brady. It's his first trip to Iraq as U.S. Defense Chief, but retired General James Mattis has spent a lot of time there over more than 2 decades and says he's heartened by what he's seeing now in the fight against ISIS.
It's just a privilege to come back and look out the helicopter door and see what's going on down below, to see an Iraqi military that can fight as truly valiantly as this one has.
Mattis just holding a news conference wrapping up an unannounced trip to Iraq where several hundred U.S. service members acting as advisors are part of the push to retake Iraq's 3rd largest city from ISIS. The president takes to Twitter to explain something he said about another country. Fox Radio's John Decker live at the White House.
President Trump tweeting last night that he had been referring to a TV report on Fox which looked at refugees and crime in Sweden. Addressing a campaign-style rally on Saturday, the president referenced Sweden when he listed parts of Europe hit by terrorist attacks.
You look at what's happening last night in Sweden. Sweden. Who would believe this? Sweden.
But with no such incident reported in Sweden on Friday, the country has asked the White House for an explanation. There has not been a terror-related incident in Sweden since 2010. Lisa?
Well, John, a redo of the president's travel ban could come this week.
A draft of the new order exempts travelers with visas to the U.S., green card holders, and people who have a dual citizenship with the U.S. And it's expected to not single out Syrian refugees.
Fox's Kelly Wright. It would still seek better vetting of travelers from 7 countries. New Homeland Security guidelines also being drafted as part of the president's crackdown on illegal immigration. Not My President's Day rallies planned in cities around the country, including New York, D.C., and Chicago. You're listening to Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Good morning. It's 44 degrees in Chicago at 8:02 on AM 560, The Answer. I'm David Stewart. Partly cloudy skies today. Look for a high of 65. As you just heard on Fox News, Chicago is one of the cities like New York and Los Angeles, where organizers say thousands of people are expected to hit the streets for Not My President's Day rallies. Chicago fire officials say a man in his 20s died after a house fire early today in the Albany Park neighborhood. The fire started just before 3 this morning in a 1.5-story home on the 4700 block of North Harding Avenue. The fire officials rescued the man, but he was taken to a local hospital and died there. Chicago police are investigating after a body was found in the Columbus Park Lagoon. Police discovered the man in the water yesterday while searching for a missing person in Columbus Park. The Cook County Medical Examiner's Office identified the victim as Darius Dobbs. A suburban state lawmaker wants to let you drive 5 miles an hour faster. State Senator Jim Oberweis is pitching a plan to increase the speed limit to 75 miles an hour on interstates outside Chicago. He said most drivers already drive 75 or faster, and he says there's no need to set a speed limit that most people ignore. It was a violent weekend in Chicago, but despite the warm weather, the trend this year in Chicago seems to be slightly downward. 4 people were killed, about 24 wounded from Friday afternoon through Sunday. 2 of the wounded were 13-year-old boys. Last year, 6 people were killed and 19 wounded in shootings over the same weekend. In sports, the Blackhawks over Buffalo 5-1. The Blackhawks travel to Minnesota tomorrow. News and service of Positive Coaching Alliance. If you're involved in youth or high school sports, you need to know about Positive Coaching Alliance. PCA, a national nonprofit organization, helps to develop better athletes and better people. PCA workshops help coaches, parents, and student athletes pursue winning in life lessons through sports. Visit positivecoach.org. Time now for the AM 560 Business Beat, sponsored by Turnkey.pro and from the Fox Business Network. Here's Pat O'Neill.
From the Fox Business Network. All the market activity today happening overseas, with the U.S. markets taking a break for President's Day. Wall Street will resume action tomorrow with a 7-session winning streak, and the major indexes at record highs. Wells Fargo's been losing customers since its recent sales practice scandal. The bank says the number of new checking accounts is down 31% this year. Fiat Chrysler recalling some Chrysler cars because of drive shaft bolts that can come loose on all-wheel drive models, including 2014 through 17 Dodge Charger and 300 vehicles. And when it comes to sitting in traffic, a new report says Los Angeles has other cities beat by a mile. The analytics firm INREX says drivers in the LA area spent 104 hours last year in congestion. Moscow is second at 91 hours, New York third at 89. Traffic jams cost U.S. drivers nearly $300 billion last year. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Pat O'Neill.
AM 560 News Time 8:05. Traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
You need to understand that the way you build wealth is you do not use the evening news or CNN or Fox to set the tone of your emotions around your investing.
The Dave Ramsey Show.
If you're thinking of changing your investing patterns because you're watching the news, you need to turn off the news. You are in charge of your destiny.
Dave Ramsey. Weeknights starting at 7. Presented by Wintrust Community Bank on AM 560. The Answer.
The U.S. economy has been getting stronger, and home values have been increasing. This good economic news presents a unique financial opportunity for you. Hi, I'm Jay Farner, president of Quicken Loans. Many of our clients have been taking cash out of their homes, a strategy that might work for you. The smart move is to refinance your mortgage right now with Quicken Loans. The rate today on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 4.18%, APR 4.35%. Call Quicken Loans today at 800-QUICKEN to see how much we can lower your mortgage payment. For 7 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. And for the third year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in the nation for mortgage servicing. Call 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
Visit jdpower.com for award information. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS ConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
8:07, checking the roads from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, David. The Edens is fine right now. The Kennedy has no significant delays inbound, but outbound, you've got about a 5-minute delay between Lawrence and Sayre. Inbound Eisenhower, a little sluggish, Racine into the Burn Circle. 30 minutes, Thorndale to downtown, outbound 5 at 29. Inbound Stevenson, delays start at the Ryan. 40 minutes, 3:55 at Lakeshore Drive, outbound 5 at 34. Ryan, 18 minutes, 95th to downtown, outbound 5. Fishing outbound on the ramp to west, about 159th. There's a crash, though the ramp's open. On Tri-State Heavy, the Reagan Tollway to the Eisenhower. The other Illinois tollways are good. Indiana Toll Road has some roadwork delays. Eastbound 94 to the Portage exit. In both directions slow. State Road 49 and the Porter-LaPorte County line. Traffic answers when you need them most. Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
And now your forecast. A service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. And here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Today, patchy fog for the morning. Otherwise, it will be breezy and warm with a mix of clouds. High 65. Tonight, mostly cloudy with occasional rain and a thunderstorm. Mild with a low 52. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
It's 40 degrees at Chicago's Lakefront, 49 at Midway and O'Hare. Next, news update at 8:30. Get continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Secure Retirement Radio with host Raj Shah. Sunday mornings at 7 on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning. Welcome to your Monday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
I'm here because I want to be among my friends and among the people.
Democracy as we know it, you have to have a free and many times adversarial press. And without it, I'm afraid that we would lose so much of our individual liberties over time. That's how dictators get started.
It should be taken with a grain of salt because John McCain's the guy that's advocated for war everywhere. He would bankrupt the nation. And actually, we're very lucky John McCain's not in charge.
The amount of drama and spin that you read about, and mostly in the Washington Daily gossip rags, is unbelievable stuff. And it just isn't true. And you read it every day, and you wonder what alternative universe they're reporting on.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan. And in for Amy this morning, Kristen McQuarrie from the Chicago Tribune editorial board. And Kristen, I want to get to Trump in Florida, Star being born there, as well as John McCain's reaction to Trump's tweet on the media. But be remiss if we didn't make mention of the passing of two giants in the annals of American history for different reasons. One, Michael Novak. There's a great epitaph for him written by George Weigel in National Review if you want to get the full breadth of Michael Novak's life and work. But I would just say one of the great Catholic thinkers of the last century. His book, The Spirit of Democratic Capitalism, is must-reading. I would say must-reading for every American, but it is must-reading. It has been in the 35 years since he published it. It will continue to be for tens, hundreds of years from this point forward. But an incredibly important thinker is lost, probably a loss we haven't suffered in this space since, it's like a Catholic intellectual, since probably like Richard John Newhouse, I would say. Mm-hmm. So Michael Novak, rest in peace, good and faithful servant. And then, of course, the death of Norma McCorvey, Jane Roe, as in Roe v. Wade, who passed away over the weekend at the age of 69 years old in Texas. She was somebody who I would describe as having been victimized by abortion in her early years. She had a very rough life growing up and was picked out of obscurity by Sarah Weddington and the pro-abort left to use in the seminal case, Roe v. Wade, Doe v. Bolton, but then ultimately Roe v. Wade. And then later in life, very interesting, another Road to Damascus story. She converted and was a pro-life activist who thought that Planned Parenthood and the pro-abort left, who lie about wanting abortion to be rare, were bad people, or at least they were doing bad things. She converted to Christianity, then she ultimately converted to Catholicism, and that was where she began her journey in a different direction from earlier in life.
You characterized her as someone that you would consider to be a victim of abortion. I don't know if she ever went that far to believe that she had been victimized, but she certainly had a journey that was really astounding. And she passed away at her home in Texas.
Yeah. She did make mention, though, of these killing centers, her term. I personally think it's the pro-abortion people who are doing this to collect on their insurance so they can go out and build bigger and better killing centers. That's the statement she made to CNN in 1997. She blamed abortion rights advocates for violence at abortion clinics. She had children early in life that she put up for adoption. Frank Pavone, of course, the director of Priests for Life, called McCorvey a friend of his for more than 20 years. He wrote, she was victimized and exploited by abortion ideologues when she was a young woman, but she came to be genuinely sorry that a decision named for her has led to the deaths of more than 58 million children. Norma's conversion to Christianity, then to Catholicism, was sincere, and I was honored to be a part of that journey. In 1998, testimony before a Senate subcommittee, she said, Norma McCorvey, I'm dedicated to spending the rest of my life undoing the law that bears my name. So, worth mentioning both of those individuals. It's especially in the case of Norma McCorvey, the idea that people don't change their minds or change their hearts happens all the time. Human beings are not static. Life is not static. So this idea, because we're winning, whoever the we is, but one side, your side, my side is winning one moment and we'll win forever. Or my side is losing in one moment, as is the case, say, in Illinois, and has been losing for a long time. But we'll lose forever, that it's inexorable and we should just throw up our hands. You should be familiar with enough conversion stories to know that simply isn't true. It's just people need to be challenged and the truth presented to them, and then they make their own determinations. Well, over the weekend, Donald Trump presented what he believes to be the truth about the media in Melbourne, Florida, at a rally of 10,000 Trump supporters, saying the following about his decision to make this stop.
I also want to speak to you without the filter of the fake news. The dishonest media, which has published one false story after another, with no sources, even though they pretend they have them, they make them up in many cases. They just don't want to report the truth, and they've been calling us wrong now for 2 years. They don't get it, but they're starting to get it. I can tell you that.
I agree with half that statement, that they don't get it. Are they starting to get it? That wasn't evident on the Sunday talk shows, where Chuck Todd and Meet the Press and others are just aghast at the notion that Trump subsequently tweeted that the Alphabet Soup networks plus the New York Times are enemies of the American people. That this is un-American, as Chuck Todd said.
Well, I mean, it's typical Trump hyperbole. I don't like to be considered an enemy of the state as a member of the media. But the idea that it goes beyond just.
Although the Tribune wasn't named.
Well, we probably would have been at some point. But the idea, it's not even so much the mistakes that show up in stories. It's the intensity of the coverage that Trump is under. That is just an anomaly compared to other administrations. You watched, Betsy DeVos's nomination hearings or some of the other cabinet nominees. Very, very heated. The decision was already made in some cases in a lot of cases from some of the questioners. I mean, just everything he does. And we talked earlier about CNN setting aside a panel and talking about how much Trump and his family were spending on Secret Service and how much it was costing taxpayers. I mean, it's endless. It's endless. So the idea, you heard John McCain talking about the loss of an antagonistic press. I don't think we're losing that. I think Trump has experienced it more perhaps than any predecessor.
Well, and so John McCain was asked about that tweet when he did his turn at the wheel with Chuck Todd. And here's the full statement John McCain made. The full statement. I'm no McCain defender. I don't really like his politics. He's somebody that has enjoyed darling status with the media as a Republican who is attacking Republicans. And, of course, the media will always go to that person, especially if that attack is coming from the left. And then McCain found out just how not a darling he was when he ran against Barack Obama. But that apparently didn't chasten him. He still likes the limelight. And there's a front page cover, how many times can you be an American hero profile piece in the New York Magazine on John McCain. But McCain was asked about that tweet. Here's the full statement he made because it had been shortened by so many media outlets and it gives you an unfair impression and what McCain said. So let's be fair about it because there's no need to overstate the case.
I'm curious of your reaction to a tweet that the president sent Friday night. The fake news media, failing New York Times, NBC News, ABC, CBS, CNN, is not my enemy. It is the enemy of the American people. You believe the press is the enemy? Do you believe any group of Americans are the enemy of another group of Americans?
I was talking about the period, as you know, of the New World Order. A fundamental part of that New World Order was a free press. I hate the press. I hate you especially. But the fact is, we need you.
Suck up.
We need a free press. We must have it. It's vital. If you want to preserve, I'm very serious now, if you want to preserve democracy as we know it, you have to have a free and many times adversarial press. And without it, I'm afraid that we would lose so much of our individual liberties over time. That's how dictators get started.
That's how dictators get started, with tweets like that?
They get started by suppressing a free press. In other words, in consolidation of power, when you look at history, the first thing that dictators do is shut down the press. And I'm not saying that President Trump is trying to be a dictator. I'm just saying we need to learn the lessons of history.
Yeah, so I mean that statement he made in the second part of that clip, which wasn't played very much over the weekend. I'm not saying Trump is a dictator. That tweet is a step down the road to dictatorship, is an important qualification to his comments. Now that said, number one, what we know from 20th century despots is the first thing they do is disarm the populace. But he's also correct that, of course, they eliminate a free press. And that's also the case in, for example, totalitarian societies, Islamic theocracies today. So he's right about that. But I guess my question is, who's advocating repression of the press? There's criticism of the press, and President Trump is criticizing the press. And there are specific instances on those same Sunday talk shows that were raised by Reince Priebus as examples where the press has been unfair or got it completely wrong. But I'm sorry, is somebody proposed that the press be censored? Is there legislation that's been advanced or is being drafted? Has anybody said anything of the sort? It seems to me this whole discussion, this press-driven discussion, is about rallying to the defense of the press who's being mistreated. And they're not being mistreated, and nobody is suggesting that their freedom be curtailed. So what's the controversy exactly?
The controversy, Dan, is that the president is not calling on the right people at press conferences. I mean, I would love for someone to point out where we are seeing an actual attempt to censor the press. What we have seen is, he has called on certain people in press conferences. Jim Acosta and the president got into a little verbal war weeks ago that got blown up into Trump doesn't support the First Amendment. And as a person in the media who found it kind of rather entertaining, because I just think press conferences are completely staged and people get their, if you're friendly to the president, you get your question asked. You think that didn't happen under Obama? Give me a break. So if you are a reporter and you believe your First Amendment rights are being restricted because you don't get to ask your question, then you're not a very good reporter. Get out and figure out another way to get the information that you need. I'll be the first one to criticize Trump if there appear to be ways in which he is trying to censor, or, like in China, where you can no longer even search for certain words on the internet, and it's completely controlled by the government. That seems to be this leap that people are making, and it's just absolutely false and ridiculous.
Rand Paul also took the opportunity on with Jonathan Carlin this week to go after his old friend John McCain in response to McCain's comments. This is fun.
Well, the thing is I don't agree with his analysis and applying that to the president. I haven't seen any legislation coming forward that wants to limit the press. I see President Trump expressing his opinion rather forceful in his own, his own distinct way. But I see no evidence that anybody's putting forward any kind of legislation to limit the press. Okay. So I think people, this is colored by John McCain's disagreement with President Trump. It all is. Everything that he says about the president is colored by his own personal dispute he's got running with President Trump. And it should be taken with a grain of salt because John McCain's the guy that's advocated for war everywhere. He would bankrupt the nation. And actually, we're very lucky John McCain's not in charge because I think we'd be in perpetual war.
There's a statement. Remember, and on the domestic side, John McCain is the economy's not my bag guy. I'll take your calls on topic right after this.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Today's forecast, areas of dense fog that should be lifting before 11 a.m. Otherwise, partly sunny with a high near 62, which is almost a record. I believe 64 would break the record. We'll see. Tonight, a chance of showers and thunderstorms, low around 52. And how are the roads on this holiday, Jim Talamonte?
Kristen, pretty light for the most part. We do have an issue in Little Village. Police activity at 23rd and Drake. The Edens is delay-free. The Kennedy inbound fine. Outbound, little slow Bryn Mawr to Sayre. Just 21 minutes downtown to O'Hare. Eisenhower, 30 minutes. Thorndale to the post office. Heavy approaching downtown. Outbound, it's fine. Inbound Stevenson. Delays start before State with ongoing construction at Lakeshore Drive. But there, it's just a 3 or 4 minute delay. The Ryan has a 4-minute delay. Canalport into downtown. Northbound Tri-State heavy at 290. Where it's slowest is on the Indiana Toll Road with a new round of road work now in place, affecting eastbound from 94 to the Portage exit. Then in both directions it's slow between State Road 49 and the Porter-LaPorte County line. Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Do you find yourself saying, if I only had more leads or if only had more prospects to sell? If that sounds familiar, then let me tell you about the Sales Prospecting Group. The Sales Prospecting Group is ready to help you take your business to the next level. They're a local Chicagoland company that has helped hundreds of companies nationwide to secure new business by getting them in the door. The Sales Prospecting Group will get you appointments with qualified prospects to help you grow your business. They don't use contract labor or offshore callers. Their in-house staff of business account executives are highly trained, professional, and effective. The Sales Prospecting Group will build a custom campaign specifically for your business. They know how to navigate complex corporate hierarchies to get you to the right people and get you connected with those right people, and they specialize exclusively on B2B sales. Call the Sales Prospecting Group now to learn how they could help your business grow in 2017. 630-701-9052 is the number. Again, 630-701-9052. The Sales Prospecting Group. It's time to grow.
Spring is in the air. The days are getting longer and the sun is shining brighter. Wouldn't it be nice to have new, customized window treatments to give your home a fresh look? The Blind Buddy can help you accomplish that without breaking the bank. Forget overpriced big box stores or pushy fly-by-night franchises. The Blind Buddy is an independently owned business serving Chicagoland for over 20 years by one of Chicago's first responders. They offer quality window treatments at affordable prices. Shutters, wood blinds, solar shades. Choose from a wide variety to fit your home or business, plus your style and budget. John, the Blind Buddy, will come to you and personally handle measurement to installation. The whole process can usually be done in 2 to 3 weeks. Read the Blind Buddy reviews on Yelp. Then give John a call to set up a free in-home consultation. The Blind Buddy's got Chicago covered. Visit theblindbuddy.com or call 773-893-0-BUD. That's 773-893-0-BUD.
If you've never been to a coin show, here's your chance to find out what collectors and investors have known for years. It's fun, full of history, and it can be a great investment. Make plans to attend the Greater Chicago Coin, Currency, and Collectible Show. It's one of the largest in the nation, and it's free. The show is at the Tinley Park Convention Center, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, February 23rd through 25th. Admission and parking is free. Just bring your photo ID. Hundreds of dealers, the best coin dealers from all over the country. See displays valued at millions of dollars, U.S. and world paper money, gold and silver bullion, and a lot more. Friday at 5, Fox Valley Coins will hold a rare coin auction. This is a show for the whole family, collectors, investors, or if you just want to find out more about coins, currency, and collectibles. This show is a can't miss. The Greater Chicago Coin, Currency, and Collectible Show. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, February 23rd through the 25th at the Tinley Park Convention Center. Admission and parking is free with your photo ID. Get more information at chicagocoinshow.com. That's chicagocoinshow.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
It's Dan. It's Kristen McQuarrie from the Chicago Tribune editorial board in for Amy today. And it's time for a couple of calls to react to the Trump media tete-a-tete. Lee in Hammond, Indiana. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, hi, guys. You know, if I can't understand what McCain's talking about when he's talking about a free press. We've got a corporate press. All you got to do is look at General Electric controlling NBC. You've got Carlos Slim owns, I think, controlling interest in the New York Times. And nobody brings up the point that the same press carried the water for the Obama administration for 8 years.
Yeah. Thanks.
I mean, doesn't anybody see that? I mean, why is that nobody on the right trying to bring this up to the American people? They're letting this phony narrative continue on that Trump is just a reactionary that can't handle a little heat from the press.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Lee. I mean, I think a lot of the, what would you say, alternative press to the D.C. press corps is pointing that out. I think a lot of that same group, many members of that same group, pointed out the kid gloves that President Obama was treated with from the tearful reactions to his election in 2008 to the tearful reactions to his departure in 2017. Ralph in Rantoul.
Yeah, I had tears in my eyes too, but for complete different reasons.
Yes.
I think what we need to remember is that what you don't see when McCain is on TV is the blood oxygen sensor on his fingertip. I think he was a little low Sunday morning. You know, all the crying out about the press being suppressed, that's a joke. I think if they keep their opinions on the opinion pages, great. Report the news on the rest, all throughout the rest of the paper. Remember, the journalistic points about when you're writing a story. Keep to the news. I don't think you're going to have a problem. Trump hasn't tried to suppress anybody. What he's doing is he's publicly holding them accountable and mocking and ridiculing them for being the putzes that they can be sometimes. And I'm pretty good with that. I think that if some of the folks learn how to write better and stick to the journalism, then that'd be great. Stick to the opinion pieces where they're supposed to be.
Thanks for the call, Ralph. And, the press likes to ridicule. Why not the president?
Well, and I appreciate the point because I do write for the opinion pages. That's why I can stand here and say what I think. Reporters, which I was at one point, are not supposed to do that. And I think based on social media and what you see on Facebook pages and Twitter, it's clear what their political positions are.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You've switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Here's microbiologist Dr. Kim O'Neill talking about balance of nature.
Scientific research has shown that many cancers and lifestyle diseases can be prevented with a diet rich in fruits and vegetables. This prevention comes from the phytochemicals in the plants. They fight against oxidants that damage the cell's DNA, causing mutations that lead to disease. I don't take any supplementation, but I take Balance of Nature because I've seen it in my lab. I've seen the immune response increase, I've seen your DNA repair capacity increase, and I've seen DNA protection, and I know that it works.
Balance of Nature is providing you the best offer they've ever given. 2 free months of fruits and veggies and free shipping. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan, and in for Amy this morning, Kristen McQuarrie from the Chicago Tribune editorial board. Coming up, oh no, Bono has become Hitler. We'll explain why. And Brian Curtis from TheRinger.com explains to us why another segment of media, the sports media, has trended so far left. That's at 8:38. Now we check the headlines with Dave Stewart.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Kristen. Good morning. 49 degrees in Chicago, 832 on AM 560, The Answer. The U.S. may soon get a little more aggressive about detaining and deporting illegal immigrants at the border. A Department of Homeland Security plan could get White House approval as early as this week to authorize the hiring of more agents for the Mexican border and more immigration court judges. Ohio Governor John Kasich says it's vital, critically important, that the message from the Trump administration is that the U.S. stands together with the Western Alliance and NATO.
We can hear from the Vice President, we can hear from General Mattis, we can hear from General Kelly, but we're not sure about the President. And it is vital that the administration be on the same page.
On CNN State of the Union from Munich, Germany, the Republican governor said that President Trump needs to be heard in a clear, more compassionate way, that the U.S. is standing firm with its allies. President Trump's explaining his puzzling remarks about Sweden on Twitter. He says his statement was referring to a Fox News segment about immigrants committing crimes in Sweden. The comments at a Saturday rally in Florida seemed at the time to suggest a terrorist attack. Chicago police SWAT teams are responding to an incident in the Little Village neighborhood. They've assembled in the 3400 block of West 23rd Street. No word on the nature of that incident. Chicago fire officials say a man in his 20s died after a house fire early today in the Albany Park neighborhood. That fire began just before 3 this morning in a 1.5-story home in the 4700 block of North Harding Avenue. And finally, there are reports that the Pink Floyd's Roger Waters is considering a performance of the band's 1979 classic The Wall at the U.S.-Mexico border. According to Euronews, in a recent interview, Waters says he'd be open to the idea. In sports, Blackhawks over the Sabres 5-1. The Hawks are in Minnesota tomorrow. News and service of LifeLock. You grabbing coffee or breakfast? If you swipe your card, you leave a trail of digital information that thieves can use to steal your identity. Ever hear of LifeLock? Their U.S.-based team of specialists helps to resolve identity theft problems. Go to LifeLock.com now and use the promo code RISK to save 10%. AM 560 News Time, 8:34. Traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Mike Gallagher believes this is just the beginning of the bashing from the left.
They're in a full-fledged attack. It is nonstop, and it's going to get way worse before it gets better. Are you ready for it, or are you afraid people are going to start throwing in the towel? They're going to try to beat him and beat his agenda by wearing us down. We're going to be subjected to this crap day in and day out.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Tossing and turning? Sleeping hot? Serta redesigned its perfect sleeper to help solve 5 common sleep problems. Put your sleep problems to rest at Chicagoland's only locally owned mattress retailer, American Mattress. Serta, always comfortable.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
I had a lot of credit card debt, and I couldn't pay my bills. I was feeling so bad. I got to a point where I needed some help. So I reached out and contacted Trinity.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976 to talk to a certified counselor.
They were able to take all of my different payments and put them all together.
Trinity will consolidate your accounts into one easy-to-manage monthly payment, put a stop to late fees and over-limit charges, reduce your interest, and possibly improve your credit credit score. You'll save thousands.
And they were actually able to work with my creditors. I've been able to pay off close to $15,000 in the last 18 months.
If your debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Stephanie, and I'm debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
Hi, I'm Todd Pals, owner of Homewood Bat Company, a top-quality baseball bat made right here in the Chicagoland area. Homewood Bat Company is all about using the best in materials and craftsmanship to create a truly remarkable baseball bat. I've been a client of Precision Payroll for a number of years, and when I started the Homewood Bat Company, I wanted them on my team. From working with me when I had 1,200 employees at another company, and now with less than 50, their service has been exceptional and their value is unrivaled. You want more runs in the game? Give Homewood Bat Company a look. You need a home run for your business? Precision Payroll should be the next call you make.
Thank you, Todd. It is so cool to see you make Americana. Precision Payroll would like to go to bat for you. Call me at 630-242-1507. That's 630-242-1507. Or on the web at precisionpayroll.com.
At 8:37 from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center, here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, David. The next round of construction on the Indiana Toll Road has kicked in, and there are delays eastbound from 94 to the Portage exit, and then both directions between State Road 49 and the Porter-LaPorte County line. There's work with the right lane closed. The Edens is delay-free. The Kennedy as well. No problems to report on the Eisenhower. Inbound Stevenson, stop and go from before State to Lakeshore Drive. That's a 4 or 5 minute delay. It'll get a bit heavier soon with the auto show opening at 10. This is the last day of the show, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. today. Inbound Ryan, just a 3-minute delay. Canalport to the Burn Circle. Northbound Tri-State heavy approaching 290. The other Illinois tollways are fine. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560. The Answer.
And now your forecast, service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Variable cloudiness today, high 65. Cloudy and mild tonight, occasional rain, maybe a thunderstorm, low 52. Clouds in the morning tomorrow, then sunshine in the afternoon. Tomorrow's high 66. Right now, 49 degrees at O'Hare. Next news, 9 o'clock. More of Chicago's Morning Answer next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by In the Know with Wealth Management Group, hosted by Craig Bolanos. Heard Sunday mornings at 10.
Good morning, Dan, and in for Amy, Kristen McQuarrie from the Chicago Tribune editorial board. And Amy, that music means it's time to talk about...
You just called me Amy.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kristen, in for Amy. Excuse me.
I need more coffee.
Seriously. Kristen.
Yes.
That music means it's time to talk about Bono, and I'm sorry to report he's now Hitler.
I've heard.
Or at least a Hitler sympathizer. You know why?
He kind of said some nice things about capitalism.
Well, he did, but he met with Mike Pence.
Oh.
So now he's lost all his street cred. The reason he met with Mike Pence, as he said, twice on the House floor, as he said to Pence, twice on the House floor, you defended that. That's how we know you, and we really appreciate it. That is the 2003 passage of the president's emergency plan for AIDS relief in Africa and its 2008 renewal, which Pence advocated for as an Indiana congressman. Now, Bono, who back in the fall referred to Trump as potentially the worst idea that ever happened to America, his views are complicated. But they're complicating for the left, too, because Bono was at Georgetown University a couple of years ago in the location of Georgetown University where he offered this review of capitalism.
Rockstar preaches capitalism. Wow. Sometimes I hear myself and I just can't believe it. But commerce is real. That's what you're about here. It's real. Aid is just a stopgap. Commerce, entrepreneurial capitalism takes more people out of poverty than aid. Of course we know that.
Of course we know that, except nobody on the left does.
No. I love that. That aid is a stopgap.
Of course it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just logical. It's just right.
But that capitalism is compassionate.
Yes.
You never hear that. And
well, and the occasion of the passing over the weekend of Michael Novak, who made the moral case for capitalism in his book, The Spirit of Democratic Capitalism, as well, that magnum opus of his. But it's interesting. And so what's the reaction, on social media to Bono for meeting with Mike Pence? Same reaction he got when he made that statement at Georgetown a couple years ago. He's
Hitler.
Well, yeah, right. He's been co-opted. He's complicit. He's so disappointing. He's a sympathizer to fascists and blah, 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 blah. I mean, this is just the unhinged far left, and we're supposed to react to that. We're supposed to treat that seriously. Now, Bono's no, conservative Republican, but so you can appreciate what he has to say from his perspective as somebody who's practiced entrepreneurial capitalism pretty well, and somebody who's trying to do something to deal with afflictions like AIDS in Africa. That's a good idea. That's a worthy cause. That is a laudatory objective. But all of that's lost because if you don't abide the orthodoxy, then you're out.
Well, and I mean, it almost takes a certain coat of armor to meet with Mike Pence because now he is connected to the stench of the Trump administration, even though they were meeting about funding for AIDS in Africa. There's always a way to try to discredit that, that purpose.
Well, we've spent a lot of time this morning and over the last couple of days talking about the D.C. press corps. What about sports writing press corps? What about sports writers? I mean, we know that from locals. Sports reporters are way left.
Are they? See, this was kind of news to me.
That goof, David Haw, that writes for your paper.
Oh, he's fantastic.
He's a mope. He's an intellectual child. I mean,
what's your frame of reference for that? I read him. I like
his writing. I mean, when these guys go into forays on politics, almost invariably they end up on the left, and that's not me saying it. That's just me experiencing it. A much better review of this phenomena comes to us from Brian Curtis, who's the editor of the blog, TheRinger.com, the outlet, TheRinger.com. And he had a very interesting piece last week. Sports writing has become a liberal profession. Here's how it happened. How did it happen? Well, let's ask the author of that piece, Brian Curtis from TheRinger.com, who joins us now. Brian, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Morning, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
So, sports writing has become a liberal profession. Here's how it happened. Tell us how it happened.
Well, I think it's really interesting because I think there's a number of factors. But I think probably the biggest one, at least in the very recent past, is the fact that you have all this athlete activism going on right now in America, right? LeBron James, we just had the NBA All-Star game yesterday. Steve Kerr, who was coaching one of those teams, right, has spoken out about Donald Trump. Greg Popovich, the coach of the Spurs. And I think in a lot of ways, sports writers kind of follow the athlete's lead in this, right? And if athlete political activism tends to be, what do we think, 90-95% on the left-hand side?
Right.
I think sports writers kind of follow them, and even if they're not sticking up for the athletes, they're just kind of reporting it straight, right? So if, Greg Popovich goes on that Donald Trump tirade and you report it straight, well, there you go.
Well,
and that's in the paper or however you read it, and I don't know that there's a Republican or conservative athlete balancing that out.
Well, I know Popovich doesn't want Manu Ginobili deported, and I don't think he's on the list. But what about Curt Schilling on the other side? Curt Schilling is considering a U.S. Senate run. He gets bounced from ESPN.
I mean, Kurt's a huge voice in his world, obviously. But I was just thinking of people that are actually within sports right now. He's retired and has almost become as much a political commentator as anything else. But just within the sports world, active at this moment.
Well, one of the things that one of the observations here is that there was a time. This is from your piece. There was a time when filling your column with liberal ideas on race, class, gender, and labor policy got you dubbed a sociologist. These days, such views are more likely to get you a job as a sports writer. Elaborate on that.
I think what's happened really is the way the media has changed. And you guys talk about it in politics, but I think it's in sports too. If we sat down and read the Chicago Tribune or Sun-Times sports pages 20 years ago, I don't think you'd see very much political content in there, right? Newspaper sports sections were about give me the score, tell me what happened in the game last night, and, maybe if an athlete spoke out or something, you'd cover it. But it really wasn't that much. Well, newspapers are not now, we're leaving the newspaper era. cetera. And I say that as somebody who loves newspapers. And when sports writing kind of gets moved to the web, it becomes very different, right? There aren't those between, well, here we talk about sports and here we talk about politics. Those collapsed. Also, newspapers used to be about telling us what happened at the game last night. Well, now we've got satellites and DirecTV and all this stuff, and we all kind of watch the game, right? So I think there's a lot of young writers who would have been sent to the ballpark 20 years ago, and now people say, okay, you blog and you tell us what you think, and that winds up being very heavily politicized a lot of the time, right? A lot of political content sneaks into that stuff too.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the key points of your piece, you say the internet leveled the barrier between sports writing and the rest of the universe. It dropped the neutrality that was practiced by everyone but a handful of columnists. And I think that's bled into other realms of a newspaper too. You don't open the lifestyle section anymore and just read about the latest pair of shoes or a recipe. Everyone seems comfortable now weighing in on political matters.
Yeah, it's really funny. Like the old career ladder at newspapers was you started out as a reporter, right? And you hoped if you were really that someday they would let you become writing. They would let you opine on whatever matters, whether it was sports or lifestyle or politics. These days, it's almost the opposite. You start out as an opiner, giving your hot take every day, and you hope that if you work hard enough, they'll make you a reporter someday. It's really funny. It's like a complete reversal of the media universe that I grew up in.
But what about sports radio, too? Because, I only listen to Dan Proft in the morning.
Exactly.
So I'm completely immune to what. But is the rise of sports radio, are they weighing in on all these topics and kind of making it comfortable for everyone to write about this?
It's very funny. I think sports radio is very different than sports writing. I think you see probably a lot bigger variety of political viewpoints there. I can think of a lot of hosts, in Boston, for instance, that are very, very sympathetic to the president, and very certainly give him a fair hearing, happily to disagree with him, but don't, take the kind of lefty line that I talk about in this piece on sports writing. And I really think it's funny. I mean, it may even, I don't know if it would be very hard to do a survey, but I think maybe even the political character would be slightly conservative. Sports radio is different, too, because it's much more of a local phenomenon, even at this point, right? Every writer today seems to be a national writer, right? Thanks to Twitter and the internet. Nobody's really writing locally, especially about politics or sports or things like that anymore. So I think that also kind of pulls everything to the left in terms of sports writing.
Yeah, I think the national influence, like you say, I think that's important because, I don't know, Schilling is doing back of the envelope math here, but he said last week 80 to 85% of athletes are conservative. You just don't hear that much from them because they're, basically they don't want to be targeted by the press corps. That's essentially what he's arguing. And also, too, when it comes to some of these stories, I find it interesting, like the story about the number of patriots who are skipping the White House visit with Trump after their Super Bowl championship. And I hadn't seen any outlet do this, but one of the outlets I started did it. Looked at the voting records of Martellus Bennett and the other patriots that are feel very comfortable chiming in about civic participation. Martellus Bennett criticized Kanye West for not voting in the last election. When Martellus Bennett played in town here for the Bears, he didn't vote in the 2014 general election. And of the other 5 patriots that are skipping, 3 of them aren't even registered to vote. So, it's one of those things where let's, if you want to hold yourself out as a commentator on the passing scene of politics and public policy, fine, every right is your American. But maybe those individuals then deserve a little scrutiny, too, in that context.
Yeah, and, I just don't think that viewpoint, what you just said right there could be a column, right? Somebody who even really wasn't, being super critical of Martellus Bennett, but was just saying, look, this guy is figuring out his political consciousness on the fly, right? This is not some statement that is developed. But I haven't seen that in a newspaper. I haven't seen that in a major sports media outlet. I don't see it at all. I see basically either dispassionate coverage of Martellus Bennett or cheering him on.
Right. What exactly was Colin Kaepernick's Road to Damascus story? I haven't heard it. What is it? There's some suggestion it has a lot to do with his, girlfriend du jour, and much less to do with, deep thinking about the state of race relations in America or the role of police at the local level in America, that it has everything to do with just being led around by the nose by his girlfriend. I don't know what the answer is, but the question isn't even put to him. Explain with some detail how you went from being who you were 5 minutes ago to who you are now.
Sure, and I always say with people with protest movements, whether they're on the right or the left, right, they're often unformed when they start, right? You know, if you and I walked up to a Tea Party rally, I think in the very nascent stages of the Tea Party, we'd see people that have certain ideas, you know, and they feel very passionately about, but maybe they're not formed into a total political calculus. Here's exactly what I want to do and where this country should go and that kind of stuff. So, I think it would be, you know, I think it would be totally normal for that to be on the right or the left. But as you said, maybe there are pieces that we're missing that look at that and hold that up to a little more scrutiny. Sure.
You quote in your piece some well-known really seminal sports writers like Frank DeFord, who admits, and I don't think Frank DeFord would identify on the right side of the spectrum, said you compare the era that you started talking about 60, 70 years ago to this era. No question, we are much more liberal than we ever were before. And there anything else that we didn't cover, that kind of the national influence as sports writing has become nationalized, the ESPN, and that kind of goes the way of the cable news networks, generally speaking, and goes left. Anything else that factors into this in terms of this liberal move?
Yeah, let me tell you one other kind of interesting factor is that I think if you were a sports writer 30 or 40 years ago and you just wanted to find out who the powerful people were, right, you would have gone to the owner of the team or the commissioner of the league or maybe the general manager, right? This is in the 70s and 80s. Salaries have since exploded, right? And now players have the platform of Twitter where they don't even really need the press anymore to get their message out. And I think if you wanted to find the most powerful person in the NBA right now, it wouldn't be the commissioner, it wouldn't be the coach, it would probably be LeBron James, right?
Yeah.
Or Steph Curry or those guys. And I think when you start covering sports almost totally, or let's say largely from a player's point of view rather than management's point of view, you're going to swing to the left, right? You're talking about younger people. You're talking about, people who we just talked about are politically active in a different way than maybe the owner of the ball club is, right? So I just think that kind of tractor beam pulls everything to the left as well.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back even like Curt Flood, and I'm all for free agency, and so I appreciate what Curt Flood did. But comparing himself to a slave in Major League Baseball before the era of free agency was kind of the over-the-top rhetoric we hear in the context of politics.
Well, it's funny, and now I think I said in this piece that if you compared NCAA athletes who are, in the system of amateurism to slavery, I don't think that would be a particularly outside-the-box take anymore. I think that's right in the center of mainstream writing about the NCAA and amateurism right now, and it certainly wouldn't have been 20 years ago.
It's lunacy. He is Brian Curtis. He's the editor of TheRinger.com. You have to check out his piece. Sports writing has become a liberal profession. Here's how it happened. Brian, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Really enjoyed it.
And he joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Raj Shah, host of Secure Retirement Radio, Chicago's safe money specialist.
We are going to manage a portfolio to the extent where every single month you know and you feel confident that no matter what market it is, that you don't need to play the guessing game and time the market, because it's not timing the market, it's time in the market.
Tune in for Secure Retirement Radio with Raj Shah, Chicago's safe money specialist. Sunday mornings at 7 here on AM 560, The Answer.
Is negative content or comments on the web affecting your personal or professional reputation? Unfavorable comments, embarrassing pictures, videos, legal documents, and bad tweets can ruin your personal life, your career, or your business. Reputation.com can protect your good name. It's easy to squash the unfair attacks with our patented system. Call right now for a free expert reputation analysis. Call 800-651-4888. 800-651-4888.
Are you behind in your mortgage, facing foreclosure, being given the runaround on a loan modification application by some bank or servicer? Well, you're not alone, but I may be able to help you. My name is Lou Bridges. I'm with the law firm of Lou Bridges & Associates. We've put together a team to help distressed homeowners like you. Give us a call. We give everyone who's eligible a free consultation. I guarantee you it will not be a sales pitch. We will give you our honest analysis, counsel, recommendations, and advice regarding your options.
We are experts in doing loan modifications successfully. We know the regs. We understand the process. Most importantly, we don't take no for an answer. We fight. We are prepared, and we win. We save houses. We make houses affordable. So if you want to keep your house affordable, contact us.
Go to bridgeslaw.net or call 224-513-1231. That's 224-513-1231. 513-1231.
Remember, people, never give up the land. Fight for truth and justice. You do that, and I guarantee you'll never be alone.
If I only had more leads, if I only had more prospects to sell to. Sound familiar? The Sales Prospecting Group is ready to help you take your business to the next level. The Sales Prospecting Group is a local Chicagoland company that has helped hundreds of companies nationwide to secure new business by getting them in the door. The Sales Prospecting Group will get you appointments with qualified prospects to help you grow your business. They don't use contract labor or offshore callers. Their in-house staff of business account executives are highly trained, professional, and effective. The Sales Prospecting Group will build a custom campaign specifically for your business. They know how to navigate complex corporate hierarchies to get to the right people and get you connected with them. The Sales Prospecting Group specializes exclusively on B2B sales. Call the Sales Prospecting Group now to learn how they could help your business grow in 2017. 630-701-9052. 630-701-9052. The Sales Prospecting Group. It's time to grow.
Mike Gallagher believes this is just the beginning of the bashing from the left.
They're in a full-fledged attack. It is nonstop, and it's going to get way worse before it gets better. Are you ready for it? Or are you afraid people are going to start throwing in the towel? They're going to try to beat him and beat his agenda by wearing us down. We're going to be subjected to this crap day in and day out.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. I went from being able to work